everybody. It's the Sean O'Connell Show on ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM. We've got drama right now. Live men's hockey elimination round. Czechia is currently, with 5 minutes left in the game, is currently in the lead over Canada. Now, Canada not the host nation, but Canada's kind of always the host nation when it comes to hockey. And they're on the brink, the verge of elimination right now. The Canadians. Sidney Crosby left the game earlier with an injury. And our neighbors up north wearing the red and black, which you know how I feel about black being thrown into a uniform that doesn't really belong there. But Canada wearing the red and black against Czechia, who's got I don't know what all of the coat of arms symbolism is on the front of their Olympic jerseys, but it's sick. That's what I know. Game is now tied at 3-3, 3 minutes-ish. What drama, what intensity, what insanity. Canada just scored the equalizer. And it's not Veggie in goal, by the way, for Czechia. 3-3, 3 minutes and 24 seconds left in regulation. Canada has outplayed, especially in their own attacking end. They're leading right now 37 shots to 20. Obviously, Czechia has just had some better opportunities, but the volume belongs to Canada. They keep showing the replay. Just a nasty deflection right in front of the goal. 5-hole right between the keeper's pads. Man, intense, fun. The Olympics have been an absolute blast to watch. I know that we do some of the silly stuff, the tongue-in-cheek, making sure that we cover more curling than anyone really needs to have covered. But the stakes of the Olympic hockey tournament are really interesting to me because of the dynamic that we have discovered. And by the way, Adrian Denny's going to join us later on in the show, 1 o'clock. He'll be with us for Between the Pipes, and we'll talk about this. But the dynamic of having NHL players back in these Olympic Games for the first time in over a decade, and the fact that, so many of them have almost, I won't say set aside, but they've tabled the thrill and the excitement and the intensity of their NHL duties in a real way so that they can go and represent their nations. And I get it. It's part of just being an Olympian, but professional athletes play this calculus game, and the timing of the Winter Olympics being in the NBA and NHL season, NBA players don't necessarily have to deal with this because the calendar conflict doesn't present itself in the same way with basketball. And now those guys, if you're on the Olympic team and your team went to a deep playoff run or the NBA finals, that's a really, really long year of basketball for you. This is fascinating because it's right in the middle of the season. And you've got teammates squaring off against teammates. In the case of Canada, these are all NHL guys. In the case of Czechia, they're mostly NHL guys. So these are individuals who have to potentially go play with one another 10 days from now. Right now, they're trying to eliminate one another from the Olympics. I love what it has created. And obviously, we've got Team USA still in the hunt for a medal. It is gold medal or bust. We talked about it a lot. This is an Olympic cycle where the roster seems to have been put together to beat Canada almost pointedly and specifically. And Czechia might take care of that for you. How is that not goalie interference? Goodness gracious. Czechia's goalie just got blown up in the crease. I don't know who it was for Canada. He even flopped and stayed face down on the ice for a second. That's not something you see a ton in hockey. Anyway, So that's fun. I'll keep you updated. We'll give you a medals count update at some point in the show today. Breakaway. Ooh, blocked. Blocked by the Canada keeper. I don't know who's in the net for Canada today. Anyway. The show today and every day is brought to you by friends over at Big Willie's. 1717 South Main for the perfect bar foods. I'm going to recommend today for you, because you probably haven't tried them yet, I'm going to recommend the tachos. Tater tots that have been turned into nachos. Patrick and Michelle have brought those into the studio just one time for me, and I did not share with James. I ate the whole pile of tachos myself. Sour cream, taco meat, perfectly pickled jalapenos, olives, beans. It's like a fully loaded nacho, but on tater tots instead of tortilla chips. A sophisticated dining experience, to say the least. 1717 South Main. Catch the elimination round of Olympic hockey and all other Olympics while you're down there. Also, big NCAA basketball. Tonight you've got trivia going on at Big Willie's, in addition to BYU Arizona playing in a game. And Canada struggling right here, and BYU experiencing what they're experiencing on the basketball floor right now, are really, they're driving home a point for me that I think we're going to have a lot of discussions about as football season starts to roll around again. And that conversation is one of expectation and elevated expectation, but especially expectation that comes from the talent that's on your roster. And Olympic hockey obviously is different than what BYU basketball put together, and is certainly different than what college football is. But also, we're looking at a situation with the approaching NCAA season. Ooh, things getting a little bit chippy here. Remember, fighting in Olympic hockey is not just a major penalty. It is a game misconduct penalty. So I know this is an elimination game, and you probably don't care that much, but you'll be ejected if you fight in Olympic hockey. So these guys got to be careful not to let that escalate a little bit further. In any case, the point I was getting to is the expectation of whatever it is or bust is something we've grown extremely comfortable with as fan bases. And I think even like general managers, both at the college and pro levels, have gotten comfortable with this. But I want to know what bust means. Right? We know what the phrase means. Hey, it's championship or bust, meaning it's a championship or you feel like you failed in that regard. But if you're Canada and it's gold medal or bust, which of course it always is, it's your national pastime. Hockey is your sport. Most of the best players, a lot of the best players in the world are from your country. Bust doesn't really look like anything. I mean, you're still going to just collect the best roster of guys that you can. It's an all-star team, effectively, who were born in Canada. You're going to throw those guys together. Maybe the tweak, the change that you make is you switch up some lines next time around. Maybe you go with the youth movement next time around, whatever. I'm a lot more interested in what championship or bust means for Utah football, what it means for BYU basketball, what it means for BYU football. We know what the championship side of the equation is, but what does the bust mean? Does it mean that, well, I expect you to win this championship, or that failure will be something I head to the internet and complain about? That doesn't mean anything. That doesn't change anything. That doesn't do anything. That actually doesn't hurt anybody. It's the easiest thing in the world to avoid if you're a player or a coach or an athletic director or a GM or whatever. You just don't get on the internet, and you don't go to the message boards, and you stay away from Twitter. You just Instagram your way through life for the next couple of months, and then it blows over. So the internet dissatisfaction is not bust. It doesn't mean anything, okay? What about job changes? Not at Utah this year. Most of us probably don't even feel like it's Big 12 championship or bust. To some extent, sure, that's what you hope for, that's what you want. I don't think many of us are actually heading into this season and saying, Morgan Scalley, you better dang well win a championship in your very first year as a head coach. I don't know that it's championship or bust for Utah football this year. I know it is for BYU football this year. BYU football is returning most of the important players on that team. Everyone who had an option and eligibility to come back did. Yes, you lost Jack Kelly to the draft process. That's going to be hard to replace. Chase Roberts is going to be, his production last year won't be hard to replace. I think that his leadership, his personality on the team is difficult to replace. So it's definitely championship or bust for Kalani and for BYU football. And now, obviously, there's a Parker Kingston-sized hole in your wide receiving core and the attack that you have offensively through the air. Even the most optimistic BYU fans have to acknowledge that no matter the outcome of what happens with that situation, it's not going to end in him being on the roster at BYU.
Yeah, see, isn't that really what a true championship or bust is, though? That jobs are at stake. Like the Bills, like Sean McDermott got him to the playoffs again. He got him. They won a game. They got him within a score of a few minutes of the AFC Championship game again. But it was championship or bust for the Bills, so they felt like we gotta move on. We gotta get a different head coach. I feel like that's the true championship or bust. And in that regard, I feel like, yes, BYU is close enough that the fans and internally they should be feeling like if we don't win the Big 12 championship this year, we certainly don't get back to the Big 12 championship game this year, that'd be a massive disappointment. But do you really feel like Kalani Sitake's job is at stake, though?
Not at all. Not in the slightest. So that's what I mean when I say, okay, what does championship or bust mean? And it's different for every team. By the way, Canada just won in overtime. Dang it, Czechia. You got my hopes up. Actually, I'm not sure that I wanted Canada to be eliminated by the Czechs. I think I'd rather see Team USA beat Canada in a gold medal game, which, by the way, you have set up on the women's side of things.
You absolutely want the best, most challenging opponent. You want to beat the best, but also, and this, I'm watching this and going, well, if there's a chance that the best team gets out way early, that makes a gold medal a lot more likely for Team USA, so I'll take that.
Then it's really gold medal or bust because It's like, hey, if somebody else eliminated Canada for you and you don't win the gold medal, that is going to be a job change. So 877-353-0700. When you say championship or bust, what is the bust?
Heck of a goal, by the way.
Beautiful.
Who's that, Marner?
Mitch Marner?
Yeah.
Backhand.
Oh, man.
Left side of the – oh, my gosh.
We're going to have to ask Adrian to refresh us on what the corners of the goal are called, because there's terminology for like that. You hit it right in that area of the goal. Anyway, he get it in the top right-hand corner. Just the perfect spot to do that. And backhand with a couple of defenders on his back. That
was a beautiful individual effort and goal for him. Canada is just so loaded, man. Holy cow.
Adrian, by the way, when he joins us, the USA's quarterfinals game is going to be just starting.
So Adrian,
so we'll have some. You're gonna have to get to have him some live commentary. Maybe we'll have to turn the chair a little bit so he can see the TV and talk to you.
We'll just put a mirror behind me, so he can watch in the mirror.
I'll see if maybe we can that TV behind you that's got our logos. That shows our logos only, might be able to switch that to to our Dish Network feed, but we'll see.
Anyway, 877-353-0700. Championship or bust. What does bust mean for you? Now, I'm glad we have BYU to use as an example, right? Because Kalani Sitake is very obviously the right guy to be the coach at BYU right now. He's won a lot of games. He has not yet won a conference championship. He has not yet won a major championship because they haven't had an opportunity for many years of his tenure. So the conference championship is that box you got to check. And, of course, that means also college football playoff inclusion if you can do it. We know what you're up against if you're BYU and Utah this year. You're up against the juggernaut of spending that is Texas Tech. There's, like it was last year, there's going to be a Big 12 conference that's got a surprise team or two. You're going to have a little bit of parity. I think we overestimated how much parity there would be in the conference this year. There was a very clear top 3 teams. And there was a clear top 2 teams because everyone played everyone. Because Texas Tech played BYU, BYU played Utah, Utah played Texas Tech and BYU. So that deck shuffled itself. That is not the case in the schedule this upcoming season, as all of you are aware. Texas Tech misses both BYU and Utah. Now, that works both ways. Utah and BYU both miss Texas Tech, right? Wait, BYU misses Texas Tech, don't they?
Yeah. Tech doesn't have to play Utah or BYU.
All right.
They got it. If Tech is going to continue to be the juggernaut that they were last year and that we expect them to be this year, the Big 12's got to look at their scheduling model to maybe stagger Utah and BYU. Like, don't just have them play. They don't have to play both teams.
You either have both or you have none?
Yeah, like don't do the both or none thing. Like at least have one of them on the schedule each year, right?
It works nicely for BYU this year. It works nicely for Utah this year. It works nicely for Texas Tech this year. Now, you know it doesn't work nicely for? If there's a log jam at the top, the fans who would now have to decide who belongs where by tiebreaker.
Yeah.
That potentially sucks.
Well, and maybe because that's the way the Big 12 would prefer it, despite I don't know that they'd prefer a logjam tiebreaker situation, but they probably prefer, hey, if these 3 are going to be our best teams along with maybe Arizona State every year, then if there's going to be a year where none of them have to play each other, that probably works better for us they're probably all going to have one loss or be undefeated in November, right? And that's better for us from a national perspective, national perception. So I don't know, but maybe they prefer it that way. But I just think from a competitiveness standpoint, maybe stagger Utah and BYU with Tech every year.
So at Texas Tech, if you don't win a championship this year, if you don't win a conference championship and a playoff game this year, you're probably seeing a job change for a head coach.
And if the offense, especially with the upgrade at quarterback that we all expect Sorsby to be a huge upgrade at quarterback over Baron Morton, if the offense is still clearly a weakness, Mac Leftwich might be on the hot seat, right?
I think Joey McGuire, because with great power comes great responsibility. When you have a booster that is giving you blank checks and you don't win the ultimate prize, if you go to a playoff again and you don't score any points like you did last year, that's a double back-to-back embarrassment for Texas Tech. And it will be very much like we saw with the Sean McDermott firing, with a bunch of other, where you're just like, but you're so good. You're better than 90% of every coach in your profession. And Cody Campbell and Texas Tech might look at it and say, I want better than 99%. I want better than 100% of the other coaches. I want a national championship. And if you can't get me there, I'm going to use everything that doesn't look great on your resume against you. Offensive ineptitude, difficulty getting this thing going, not maybe developing a quarterback or having great eye for talent for a quarterback or whatever that really becomes. Being too defensively minded. How many times did we hear that about a certain somebody up on the hill? It changes, right? We saw the 3 horsewomen of U.S. figure skating last night. in Olympics primetime. And every one of those young women, it was medal, podium, or bust. But what does bust mean when you're in that situation? Or that now you're done? Now you're not going to try for the next Olympics? It's obviously way different in Olympics
Yeah,
than
that's
it is in like college football or college hoops. BYU basketball, Big 12 championship or bust this year. They were like, hey, we are spending $20+ million on the roster. We have the number one recruit in the country coming here. We've got lottery draft picks, maybe at 2-3 different positions. Let's do this thing. And I don't think they're going to make it to the Elite Eight. I think they're Sweet 16 at the very, very best case scenario.
They could honestly fall in round 2, and I wouldn't be very surprised.
Right now they're a 6 seed.
I would guess, like, if I were making the prediction right now, obviously we're going to be doing that with our bracket challenge coming up in a couple of weeks, but well before the brackets are out, I would say they got to be at least a Sweet 16 team. I mean, even with Richie Saunders out for the rest of the season, you still got tons of top-end talent on that roster. A.J. DeBonta's not out for the season, right? That ought to be enough to get you through to the Sweet 16. But that being said, with just they haven't been able to prove that concept yet, so they could be a first weekend team that gets upset. And I wouldn't say first-round upset, but maybe a second-round upset this year. And I'd be very curious what kind of changes we might see with that program if that ends up being the case, OC. I don't know that Kevin Young would be coaching for his job in that case for this year, but maybe they go, you know what? We might not want to see you through the rest of your contract.
At BYU, I'm especially curious about what the failure to achieve ultimate expectations looks like. Because whether Ute fans like to hear this or not, you're in a different world when you're a BYU head coach. Your job is, in a lot of ways, more secure despite the difficulty of excelling at BYU. A lot of the roadblocks have been removed. The honor code is not quite as problematic for teams as it used to be, for programs down there as it used to be. It's still an issue, right? It's still a limiting factor in recruiting, but it's not such a limiting factor that millions and millions of dollars can't overcome it, right? And now that is legal, you've got this very wealthy alumni base. And BYU, I think, is a lot less apt to make job changes at the top because the candidate pool is smaller at BYU. You have to, in order to be a head coach, and I was informed even like most coordinator positions down there, it's not officially in the books as far as I know that coordinators have to be active card-carrying members of the LDS Church, but head coaches do.
In any sport, so like track and field coach has got to be,
to my knowledge, yes.
By the way, I say track and field like it's a throwaway program down there. They're actually a national power in track and field.
They're good. Their cross-country program is incredible. Like, their volleyball programs are incredible. And again, maybe that is a little bit more gray area than it used to be at BYU.
Yeah, certainly.
For football and basketball,
yeah,
non-negotiable. Ain't no question because
certainly
you are
men's basketball and football. Yeah.
Like, I mean, who is a more famous Mormon on the planet than Kalani Sitake right now? There's like 15 of them, right?
Yeah.
You're a top 20. If you're the head coach of BYU football, you're a top 25 Mormon in the eyes of the public.
Should we do a top 25 rankings?
Yeah, we're gonna have to.
Popularity, okay, or like name recognition, not anything else. All right.
I'd be very curious to know what the response to a non-member of the LDS Church making a top 25 Mormons list would be. You think people get mad about it, or
just say James is vouching for you,
or do you think
good,
or do you think people would be like, no, I want the more neutral party thing here because if you make your own rankings,
you know what? If we end up doing this, we need to maybe this sounds like this is ultimate summertime radio thing.
Okay,
we need to ask every one of our guests who, like a Jeff Schwartz type who's not embedded in the religion or in the state of Utah, to be like, hey, so if I said Ryan Smith, Is that a name? Is that something that you
Top 5 Mormon
the
right
light? Yeah, lights up in your brain.
Yeah.
That makes the lights
now.
go off in your brain.
He might be number 1 right now.
Yeah, if I say, there's got to be someone that's an ambassador somewhere. Trump and the Republican Party generally likes to do, like John Huntsman Jr. was.
Sure.
Like, there's got someone like that's gonna be someone people know.
Is Mitt Romney still a top 25
Mitt
Mormon?
Romney.
React. You know what I mean?
Well, stay tuned in June for top 25 Mormon.
To get back to the important sports point here, right? What does championship or bust look like for Utah
Women's
football?
curling.
For women's basketball, for men's basketball. Utah men's basketball is not going to be championship or bust for another 5 years.
Hopefully,
if they ever get there.
Hopefully sooner than that.
The Utah Jazz are not going to be championship or bust for 2 more years
till
now.
next year, baby.
Well, it's instead of being 10 years away, it now looks like it's 2 or 3 or 4 years away, which to have light at the end of that tunnel is incredible. But what does the bust look like in those situations? At BYU, I don't think it means firing people. The more interesting question is, does it mean that the folks responsible for the current donations, if you're Crumble Cookie Man and it doesn't mean anything, it doesn't end up giving you what you hope it gives you, if you don't win a Big 12 championship, and by the way, this year it doesn't count, right? It's like, this is all still so new. If we're still talking about BYU chasing always the bridesmaid, never the bride, 5 or 6 years from now, does Crumble Cookie Man just be like, dude, I'm not giving any more money.
Right.
It's a waste of time.
Does the well run dry?
Does it ever?
Yeah.
Or like at Texas Tech, do they just say, man, I've spent $50 million on this roster this year, and it was almost good enough. Let's make it 65 in 2026. At Dan Lanning in Oregon, I got 10 5-stars and 24 stars on my roster, and I still haven't won a national championship. Phil, you're coming up on 90 years old. I know that this is what you need. What can we do? And Uncle Phil just goes like, buy them all. Pay them all. You got a $100 million roster if you want it. Get me this championship. I mean, I don't know. The championship or bust thing for Dan Lanning at Oregon is probably incredibly nerve-wracking because there is no excuse for you to not win every recruiting battle and every football game.
Well, he's now got Dante Moore returning makes that even the pressure gets ratcheted up even more because that's a guy who would be the number 2 overall pick. The consensus says that if he entered the draft this year, and instead he's like, I'm going to win the Heisman next year.
Yeah, well, that's another thing, right? It's now Heisman or bust for Dante Moore and for Dan Lanning.
Yeah.
Right? And Dan Lanning has to feel more pressure on that than Dante Moore does because Dante gets his $9 million or whatever they're paying him, and he's going to be a first-round pick in the next NFL draft.
As long as he's not completely terrible.
Which he's not going to be. He's a good football player.
Yeah. As long as he doesn't completely regress, which we don't think is going to happen, he's still going to get everything he wants, even if he doesn't win the Heisman Trophy. And Arch Manning, similar thing in Texas. Like, that's Heisman Trophy or bust again. But he could have a similar year to last season, which was below expectations, but still really good, and still be a first-round pick.
Which was really interesting because it was like early, very below expectations, and late, probably on board with some expectation, but the whole body of work came in slightly under the ridiculously high bar for Arch Manning. This is interesting from 1624. Our friend Derek, beat BYU or bust, and bust is possible coordinator change.
Okay. I could see with Kevin McGivern being so new, for example. Obviously Colton Swan's new to it. I don't know. I for whatever reason, maybe it's just the tradition of Utah football defense that makes me think that if there is a coordinator change, it'd probably be on the offensive side.
Let me promise you something, Utah fans. Unless Kevin McGivern leaves for another job or has like a bottom 50 offense in college football this year, Morgan Scalley is not going to make the same mistake that Kyle Whittingham made over and over and over again. He is not going to reshuffle the offensive deck every single year, and he's not going to do it right after he takes the job. Unless Colton Swan has the 11th out of 12. That's not even 12 teams anymore.
15 out of 16.
Yeah, unless he's 15 out of 16 or 16 out of 16 defensively. Morgan is not firing these guys. You're not going to see coordinator changes. Don't even head into a year thinking I got to beat this team or I need to see this coach change. Barring a scandal or people taking other jobs, this is your coaching staff moving forward. Because Morgan Scalley is not going to be that dude who hits the reset button after 1 year. He's just not.
And certainly, as big a deal as the Holy War is, if you go 10-2 again, but it was with a loss to BYU, that's certainly not gonna be something that Morgan Scalley considers doing. Like, hopefully there's a win against BYU this year.
Yeah, that's BYU or bust. Beat BYU or bust could be the mantra for the whole season this year, and I'd be okay with it because I don't expect them to win a Big 12 championship in Morgan's first year. Not that they don't have the roster, not that they don't have the talent, but like you've got a lot of questions on the offensive line, and I want to know how the 2-quarterback thing is going to work, and you do have to replace some important guys on the defense, including the All-American John Henry Daly, who you were going to have to replace anyway because he's going to miss a lot of time this year. But if you came into the year, if Morgan Scalley stood up at the end of spring ball and said, all right, it's beat BYU or bust, I'd be like, hell yeah, I like that goal. But also I would raise my hand and say, what does bust mean, though? And I have that question, not like Big J gotcha journalism. I have that question about every win it or bust anywhere with anything. Team USA, Team Great Britain curling right now in the Winter Olympics. Gold medal or bust? What does it mean if you bust? That these women are not back 4 years from now on your curling team? That these women are back, but your coach is different? That the U.S. decides they're not getting their curling stones from Ailsa Craig in Scotland anymore, and they're going to find a new source? What does bust mean? And I don't expect you as a listener to have the answer to any of these things. It's just the thing that comes to my mind when I watch Canada on the brink of losing in an elimination game to Czechia, and obviously they ended up winning, so that point is now moot. When I see BYU and Arizona playing tonight and BYU potentially having all of the hopes and dreams and expectations of this college basketball season slipping through their fingers, their very, very wealthy funeral potato stained fingers, I'm wondering if it's championship or bust, what does bust look like? In every case. You could text me, you could tweet at me, you could tell me what your bust is for Utah, for BYU, for Team USA. Tell you what, gold medal or bust, and put Clayton Keller in the dang game.
Let's go. Yeah.
The bust is get Keller in and win the gold.
You want to win? Put Keller in.
Print the T-shirt now. Sell it online. Not at the Olympic shop, though, because we should be boycotting that thing. All right, lots left to get to here on the Sean O'Connell Show. Jeff Schwartz is going to join us at noon. We'll talk a little about the NFL Hall of Fame class going in. I want to pick his brain about the weird realignment news we got yesterday with Sacramento State. You know who their head coach is, by the way? Remember the guy who's he's been famous for years he's a college football coach. He was at like Arizona. He was at San Jose State. He was a backup dancer for MC Hammer back in the day.
Oh yeah. He
is now the Sac State head coach.
Is he really? Well, was he not? He wasn't even a coordinator for Arizona last year, was he? Maybe he was.
Alonzo Carter is his name.
I thought he was a position coach. I remember the College Game Day profile on that though. That's what a get there. Mike Bibby, I believe, still the men's basketball coach at Sacramento State too. They're trying to level up over there.
I want to know what Mike Bibby has on Shaq that Shaq agreed to be anything associated with that team.
Well, I think Shaq's got a son that's on the team. if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, is that
I'll
right?
have to look it up.
It is Mike Bibby, by the way.
Former rivals teaming up in Sacramento.
Now we're going to get down the rabbit hole on Sacramento State. In any case, lots to get to. It's the Sean O'Connell Show on Utah's #1 sports talk, ESPN 700, 92.1 FM. All right, the aforementioned BYU versus Arizona basketball game, which is tonight, is one of the featured games on the slate right now in a Big 12 conference that is a little bit tipsy. All right. Arizona State, who's had plenty of struggles this year, beat number 13 Texas Tech on the road in Tempe. So, all right. And probably more pointedly for Texas Tech, JT Toppin goes down with an injury late in the second half. He's holding on to his right leg. This is bigger for Texas Tech than losing Richie Saunders is for BYU, and that is massive if BYU can't play with Richie Saunders anymore. He still finished with 20 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, and 4 blocks, missing the final 6 minutes of the game. I'm not seeing anything definitive about the severity of this, but the injuries late in this season could be sort of reorganizing the favorites in the Big 12 tournament, which is coming shortly, and, of course, in the upcoming NCAA tournament with several teams in the Big 12 looking to be potentially, second weekend teams at the least. So BYU, Arizona, and BYU's got to do it, obviously, the rest of the way without Richie Saunders. We will see, I think, a glimpse of what the plan is without Richie. Adjusting to it in game is one thing, but knowing that he's going to be gone and then deciding to figure out how you're going to approach it over the course of a week or so, that's where we're going to see what Kevin Young and company look to do the rest of the way without Richie Saunders, who is kind of a straw that stirs the drink. Utah basketball also in action on the road at West Virginia. That's never an easy place to play. It's never an easy road trip. It is the one for me in the Big 12 conference that you're just like, oof. Now, don't get me wrong. I want to go. I want to spend some time in Morgantown. I'd like to go see a football game in Morgantown. But if you look at not just in the Big 12, but if you look at the rest of the slate around college sports, you get that reminder of how just nonsensical some of the alignment stuff, the realignment stuff has been.
Yeah, it's as if Orlando wasn't enough to be like, why is the Big 12 in Orlando? You also have West Virginia. Cincinnati's not insane because you got Iowa State.
To me, West Virginia is an even bigger outlier than, like, geographically, distance-wise, Orlando. You're like, it takes a long time to get there. But I could see why the decision makers convinced themselves it was a good idea to have a footprint in Florida.
Right. And
at the largest enrollment university in the country, if I'm not mistaken. Just being like, all right, You know what? Cool.
And UCF was not that far removed from being the group of 5 darlings of college football.
National champion.
Yeah, the people's national champ of 2017.
The self-appointed national champions, right?
Yeah.
And so I could see why, if you're a Big 12 decision maker, you're like, yeah, well, everyone else is snatching up as much real estate as they can. We got to get into Florida. Okay, UCF's our way to get into Florida. And they're probably, by the same token, like, you know what? From a recruiting standpoint, in the sports that matter, Ohio is a really good place to be. So let's get Cincinnati in here. That's not as big of a lift for the travel and things like that as Florida is. And then West Virginia, you're just like, yep, they're still here.
Yeah, they've been around. They've been in the Big 12 a while now.
Yeah, West Virginia still since the Big East disappearance.
They
right?
They must have come in with TCU, because TCU initially, when they jumped to the Power 5, they were a Big East team for like a season, right? So, which is, we all forget because they've been in the Big 12 ever since, and the Big East has long since not been a football conference. But yeah, it's West Virginia is just, I mean, adding Cincinnati, at least you get somewhat of a travel partner type thing with Cincinnati and West Virginia, but that just feels so far away.
Tough one. West Virginia is a pretty high-quality team. They're 6th in the Big 12 right now. They're coming off a win against UCF. They played Texas Tech tough with a healthy JT Toppin. And now Utah's got to find a way to win on the road. They're clinging to that hope that you can, before the end of the season, you can put another Big 12 win or two on the resume.
The Mountaineers are a bubble team right now. They're 19-7. So this is not even though they kind of get overlooked compared to the rest of the Big 12. This is not a bad team. This is not a team at Utah's that's the same level at Utah. So this is going to be a tough one.
Man, 10.5 points. The West Virginia Mountaineers are getting against the University of Utah. So
if they come out
I should say.
If Utah shows the same kind of effort, pride, whatever other buzzwords, fight that they showed against maybe the national champion in Houston, and the first game against, really both games against BYU, the end of the game, BYU ran away with it at their own place. But if they come out with that kind of effort and fight, I'm not saying they could pull off this upset against West Virginia, but they could make it a very tough game for the Mountaineers. That's all I want to see the rest of the season. They got 4 or 5 games left. Just give us the same kind of effort that you gave against the best teams in the conference this year, against teams that are bubble teams or lower, or lower, right? Just show us that.
Tough games or bust.
Yeah, tough games or bust.
Let's go.
That's probably what it is. Alex Jensen's perspective for the players on the roster. Like, you guys with eligibility doesn't necessarily mean I want you back. He might be saying tough games or bust for some of those guys.
Call back to the beginning of the segment. Jordan on the text line says, "Have you seen Mike Bibby lately? He looks like he could play running back in the NFL. Built like a brick house." And Brown Bear says, "More football media access or bust." We're going to get it, people.
What's our bust for that?
What is the bust? Or we're not showing up and asking questions anymore.
Yeah.
Or we're going to take our microphones and go home.
And
Morgan.
And we're going to be just a little bit more critical.
There's actually no shot that people are going to be more critical of Morgan Scalley in these first few years than they were of Kyle Whittingham in his last few years.
He's too likable, right?
He's very likable. He's very engaging. He's going to be a lot easier to deal with the media. And people are going to give a little bit of grace, which is the right thing to do, to someone who's taking over his alma mater program and having that opportunity, that high-profile situation, be his first head coaching opportunity. That is a massive, difficult deal.
We're looking at the same thing a year earlier with Alex Jensen, by the way, as we're talking about basketball this segment. He's not as charismatic as Morgan is, certainly. There may not be very many people on the planet as charismatic as Morgan Scalley, but he's in the same boat that it feels like we want to give him time to figure this thing out because he is Mr. Utah basketball. Alex Jensen in the glory days of Utah as a player, and now his first head coaching jobs at his alma mater.
All right, got to take a break. The hot lunch is coming. Burger Fusion, new place at Trolley Square, and let's just say the first impression Burger Fusion made yesterday was an excellent one. Fingers crossed that every one of the burgers is going to be just as delicious as the Caprese burger I had yesterday. Jeff Schwartz joins us in about 10 minutes. We're rolling. It's the Sean O'Connell Show on ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM. If you're driving, drive safely. The studio here is a bit of a cave. For the sake of our YouTube show, we keep the lighting consistent by having dark blackout shades over the windows here on Broadway. And James just came in and was like, hey, look at this. We got a blizzard, baby. Big time snowfall happening here in the hot lunch. And while it might be cold outside, the hot lunch is exactly that. Burger Fusion.
We need
at
the water,
Trolley
OC,
Square.
so I'm thrilled.
Yes. Congratulations, James.
We got the water. It's happening.
You're an old dad now.
We still need more.
Have you gone to the Utah snow report today?
I have not. I need to keep learning the old dad ways.
The old dad ways. Now, there's two different snow reports. There's like the ski report, and then there's the snowpack report, which is like the actual, it's not for the ski resorts. It's the Utah snowpack totals that show you the percentage of normal we're sitting at right now relative to the average year. And a couple years ago, this thing was lit up dark blue all across. Now we're mostly orange and yellow, which puts you anywhere from 50 to 89% of regular snowpack in the state. Oddly enough, your hometown of St. George, like southern Utah, has done better this year than northern Utah with the snow.
Well, that just means I got like 3 inches. So
it's actually more rain down there. But I digress. Burger Fusion at Trolley Square. Guys, Mike Jardine, the brains and, in fact, the hands behind the operation. He's on the grill today, which is why he's not in here with us. He came in yesterday and he shared with us, some of the strategy behind Burger Fusion and the passion he has for it, and talked about how they fry everything in beef tallow and they make sure that even the packaging is designed so that if you take in the stuff to go, it's not getting all soggy because it steams itself in these to-go packages. The mozzarella squares that are the featured side today are crispy, delightful, and they are actually, we've all had mozzarella sticks, the kind of ones you get at Costco, and restaurants charge you like $9 for a side of these things. Look at this on YouTube. A perfectly executed mozzarella cube with just the lightest dusting of breading on it, and then fried in that beef tallow, quick fried in that beef tallow to give it a nice little crisp on the outside. Garlic Parmesan sauce for dipping on those bad boys. And then the burger today, yikes. Now, I appreciate having the hot lunch folks come in because they give me stuff that I might not order myself. I will say this. The blue ribbon burger today, blue cheese, caramelized onions, bacon, balsamic glaze, hot honey pickles. That's the real star of the show for me so far through a couple of bites. And a blue cheese aioli. Blue cheese is not my favorite of the cheeses. So if you throw too many like massive crumbles of blue cheese on there and all you taste is blue cheese when you take a bite, it's not going to be my favorite burger. Am I still going to eat it? Yes. But this is a perfectly balanced flavor profile where you have just that hint of the blue cheese because it's mixed into that mayo, that aioli sauce. The crisp of the slaw and of the hot honey pickles really stars the show. And then caramelized onions, the balsamic glaze gives these burgers a bit of a refreshing finish in your bites. A lot of times, and I don't hate it with other burgers, but a lot of times you get this big, like heavy, greasy feeling in your mouth after eating a burger. Not the case with what we got going on right here at Burger Fusion. It's chuck and Wagyu mixed together. They make their own buns. They make their own meat. Well, they source their meat. They don't make their meat. They source their meat locally whenever possible. And, man, so far, so not just good. This is great. Right at Trolley Square, just west of Whole Foods. So if you're looking at the front of the Whole Foods, on the left side, right, on the south side, southwest side, you've got those little spots, the couple other spots. That's where Burger Fusion is, right behind the trolley itself in the middle of that Trolley Square complex. I love what we're getting from Burger Fusion so far.
And what did he call it? It was like I can't remember exactly how Mike put it yesterday, but it was something about a secret with the juice to make the burger.
Yeah, he calls it burger juice.
Burger juice.
He said his family doesn't like him calling it burger juice.
Is it because there's some people that have the problem with the word moist? Is it the same kind of thing?
Guaranteed it's the same thing.
Same thing as moist.
I have no problem with juice. I don't really have a problem with moist either. It's just a word, people. Don't be afraid of it.
I'm just going to say moist again. Just
for it.
for any of our listeners who might be grossed out by that moist
25
word.
times on the show today.
But I bring that up to say you don't get that greasy feeling after taking each bite of this burger, but that might make anybody listening might make them go, oh, well, then it must not be very juicy. No, it is one of the juiciest burgers
it's incredibly
I've
juicy.
had, but it's not incredibly greasy.
In fact, I need to make sure that I lean forward over the packaging instead of spilling the moisture from this burger down the front of my shirt because
Right.
I'm a grown man. I'm 42. I should not have stains on my shirt from eating lunch provided at work.
Terrible for the YouTube channel.
Look at this. Look at this hot honey pickle. All right? Stare at it. Be jealous of it. And realize you don't have to be jealous. You just need to go to Burger Fusion, 7th East, 490 South, 7th East, at Trolley Square. Check them out online at burgerfusion.com. Burger Fusion currently on the Sean O'Connell Show, batting 1,000. Every single thing they've given us so far, the side sauces, the mozzarella squares, the onion rings and the fries yesterday, the burgers from yesterday and from today, everything has been phenomenal.
When they're gonna
Can they keep that average up? We'll find out.
Yeah, we'll see. They're gonna they've given us the full week's menu ahead of time, so we know what the sides are gonna be. They're not just bringing fries every day, as we mentioned today. They've got mozzarella bites. They're little mini mozzarella squares. Excuse me. They're
It's
little
a cube.
little mini mozzarella sticks in cube shape. They're gonna have some fried pickle type Havarti pickles. One of these. So I'm excited because obviously you can't go wrong with fries or onion rings anytime. But I'm excited to try some of these other sides that you don't necessarily get with a burger all the time.
For all you old men out there, Solitude is reporting 19 inches of fresh snow in the last 24 hours, people.
That makes my heart feel so much better.
That means those peach trees in the spring are going to be blooming big.
The popcorn is going to be popping off the apricot trees.
Jeff Schwartz joins us next. It's the Sean O'Connell Show. Burger Fusion on the Hot Lunch. ESPN 700, 92.1 FM. Welcome back to the Sean O'Connell Show. Welcome in Jeff Schwartz, longtime NFL veteran and, of course, former Oregon Duck, though we forgive him for that. Jeff Schwartz, how are you, sir?
I'm just tired of stupid people that flood my Twitter mentions. It's just like an onslaught of stupidity at all times. It's just annoying. That's it. I'm just venting to you.
Is there anything in specific that people were attacking you for?
Well, I saw John Rothstein, college basketball extraordinaire, tweet out that the new Big Ten teams, Oregon, Washington, UCLA, and USC, are struggling to play well on the road, right? And I noted that not a problem in college football as much, and not a problem in women's college basketball. Is the Pac-12 teams are UCLA is fantastic, right? USC's good, but Juju's hurt right now, and people are just like in my mention. And so I said, the problem is the basketball teams suck. UCLA's not good. Oregon's not good. I don't know what you want from me. Well, more than that, people just this dumb stuff they say. You can't compare football and basketball. I'm not really comparing. I'm saying that basketball teams are very bad. The football teams are much better, and they're better on the road. Like, how surprising is that in sports? It's just stuff like that, like people purposely not getting the point. It makes me not want to interact on the internet, and I don't do as much as I used to.
Yeah, we tried to cure some of that from Jeff.
I did.
He loved to feed the trolls online.
I've stopped. But even just replying to anyone's tweets, like, it's hard to have any conversation because you just get people that routinely just don't get it or want to argue, or they're hypocrites, or just crazy stuff. The same stuff as usual.
I know this was already in the plans.
Yeah.
But it's wild to see the Seattle Seahawks up for sale right after winning a Super Bowl championship. Now, I get it. The market price is probably never going to be higher than it is coming off of something like this. What do you think the sale is going to look like in the NFL?
Yeah, and look, it was announced, I think, before the Super Bowl that this was the plan, right? And when Paul Allen passed, this has always been the plan, right? To sell the team eventually. I don't think he wanted his team to run it. And I mean, no better time like the present, right? The Super Bowl is finished, and the parade has happened. I mean, it's gonna go for a lot of money, right? I mean, the evaluations. I haven't seen what even the valuation is right now. Have you seen the number for the evaluation?
No. $7
billion, $6 billion, somewhere around there, right? You get a stadium that's still in pretty good shape, even though it's sort of older for the NFL right now. You get a very rabid fan base, right? Very good coaching staff, good general manager. There was a lot of positives, to this. And I think one thing that's been interesting is, the owners, the new owners in the NFL are like the richest of the rich. It was never sort of that way for a long time. You used to kind of sort of piece it together. You'd have a couple groups buy a team together. Sean, now it is absolutely just filthy rich owning these teams, right? And that's probably going to happen again. So you're going to add someone else to this environment who, is independently wealthy. Doesn't need the NFL, but wants to add that to the portfolio. And I just hope it's an owner that wants to spend money, right? I mean, I think that you get in trouble with some of these owners that are very cheap. There's a salary cap and salary floor. I get it, but there's also cash spending, right? How much are you willing to actually spend now to pay your players, right? Because typically the cash spending is how you win championships, right? You have to spend the cash now to win. You can certainly pay players in the salary cap system, but you can wait to pay them, right? And sort of, that to me is the issue. So hopefully it's a good owner that wants to invest in the team and continue the success. They've had a lot of success in Seattle.
Do you think that the NFL office and maybe even the other owners are hoping that foreign money comes in here because they're trying to make this an international league, an international product in a way that I don't think makes a ton of sense for NFL football, but the Niners just announced another international game in Mexico City. They're playing in Paris, whatever. I think the
Niners are playing actually a game in Mexico City and in Australia this year.
That's right. They've got a game in Melbourne, which I love Melbourne. That'd be a fun one to go to. And then, they're hosting a game in Mexico City. So the language on that made me think they agreed to have that count as one of their home games.
Well, because of you have 9 home games now in a given year. I think teams are more willing to give one up to play an international game, right? They just got to host Super Bowl too, so maybe that was sort of the stipulation. Like, hey man, like you get to host a Super Bowl, you got to play an extra game, game internationally. So I'm sort of curious if that's part of the discussion when it comes to those things. I would imagine it's got to be the right foreign money. I know the NFL doesn't often have any morals, but I do think that the right money matters in this situation. It's not going to like a Saudi Arabian prince. I tell you that. Like I feel like that's not going to happen, right? But if a foreign business person or company wants to buy a team, I don't think they'd be against that exactly. But I think it's got to be the right type of foreign investment.
Jeff Schwartz is our guest here on the Sean O'Connell Show. Rich Eisen had Luke Kuechly on this morning, and it was just a really, really great interview. He's obviously awesome. He's on the Carolina radio broadcast now, if I'm not mistaken. And he's one of those guys. He's going into the Hall of Fame and is kind of like, as far as you can tell, like just a credit to the NFL, credit to the Carolina Panthers to have a guy like that associated, or at least in the public sense, associated with your franchise. What were your experiences with Kuechly like?
So I sort of missed a lot of his career. I was out of Carolina before he got there, and I think we only played the Panthers once. But I know some of his friends and players that he played with, and they're friends of mine. And Marty Herney, I do a podcast with him called GM Shuffle, who drafted Luke Kuechly. And I think that the thing that you hear the most is just how good of a person he is. I was explaining this to my son the other day about like the idea of being a good person, and sometimes, especially in your youth and maybe in teenage years, being the good guy is looked at as like not cool to be, right? And I told him the other day, I'm like, dude, just continue to like be a good person, right? Like it pays off again. I promise you it will. And I feel like a guy like Kuechly, who was very talented as a football player, just being the person he was, helped pay off in the end, right? Of course, there are bad people in the Hall of Fame. I would imagine so. I mean, there's a couple of criminals and whatnot, but just like him being a good person, definitely is every story you hear from anyone, right? And then he was just an amazing football player. I mean, I've said this before, that there's different levels to this, right? There's the Hall of Fame guys I played with. I ended up playing with four of them. Adrian Peterson will get in. Steve Smith, Julius Peppers, and I think Eli Manning will get in at some point. And just stick to the other three: Peterson, and Peppers and Steve Smith. And those guys are just otherworldly, right? Like there's just no explanation for how good of an athlete they are, how they recover from injury, how they prep. They just do it better than anyone else. They have just this natural drive. Of course, you have to hone those skills in the weight room and do the things you have to do to be good on the field. But like they're just naturally better than all of us, right? And then there's like the next level. I've talked about this with Jordan Gross. Like he's the next level, right? Where multiple-time Pro Bowler, and even a level from him to me, or him to just an average star in the NFL. There's a huge drop-off in just the ability to process and study and execute on the field, and the focus that those guys have is unmatched. And Kuechly was one of those guys. My brother tells a story of Joe Thomas. We all know Joe Thomas, right? Hall of Famer from the Cleveland Browns. And when you punch as an offensive lineman, right, you typically use your two hands, or you might use one hand at a time, right? Independent punch. Punch with your right, punch with your left. Okay, same idea. Same idea as hitting anyone, right? You don't hit anyone with two hands, typically 1-2, right? Okay, it's offensive lines like that a lot. And my brother said they were playing DeMarcus Ware when he was with the Cowboys. And DeMarcus Ware, his thing as a defensive lineman was a one-arm bull rush, right? So when a defensive lineman rushes you, they can contact you with two arms, all right, like a two-arm bull rush, or one arm. And a one arm, it gives an advantage because you can be a little bit longer. Think about if you're just sitting here and if you put one arm out and you turn to the side a little bit, that extra distance can keep an offensive lineman off your body, right? So a one-arm bull rush is really hard to stop because they're often lower than you, and that extra distance they get when they turn, you can't get your hands on them, right? That was DeMarcus Ware. He could one-arm bull rush with the best of them. And Joe Thomas just decided that week he was going to take his left hand, his outside hand, and just punch and meet in the middle DeMarcus Ware's hand as it came to one-arm bull rush him. So as he went to bull rush him, he just would hit his hand in the middle of the air. And he did it. He just did it. Did it all game. That's what he did. Mitch said that in the first quarter he went up to Joe and was like, "How's it going?" I figured it out. I just punch his hand. I mean, you can't bull rush me. I mean,
the slow motion view of another Hall of Fame level player, kind of
like
cool.
you just like you so like that's Kuechly, right? Like he did things on the field that other guys couldn't do. One thing I appreciate about him being on the Hall of Fame is I am of the belief that as we get into some of the guys that are going to be eligible soon have a lot of good counting stats, right? Rushing yards, passing yards, but are they really like a Hall of Famer, right? To me, longevity is great, but if you were at the top of your position or close to it for any semblance of years of a 20-year career, I don't know if you're a Hall of Famer. I just don't, right? Like Frank Gore, okay. I mean, you rushed for a ton of yards, you played, good for you, but like you made one All-Pro team in 20 years. Are you really a Hall of Famer? And Kuechly played like 8 years, but he was the best linebacker for 7 of those 8 years. And I appreciate that we're starting to let guys in like that, like a Tony Baselli a couple years back, who was the best offensive tackle. Think about Baselli. He was the best offensive tackle at a time when 4 other Hall of Fame left tackles were playing at the same time. Like that to me is a Hall of Famer. And Luke Kuechly played, I think it was only 8 years, but a Hall of Famer. So I'm glad he got in because of that too.
Yeah, 8 years in the league and 1,000 tackles in those 8 years. 690 solo tackles, 402 assisted tackles, 75 tackles for loss.
Ton of interceptions too, by the way, a lot for a linebacker.
He had I
think 19.
18 interceptions, yeah. 18,
which is insane number of interceptions for a linebacker.
7 forced fumbles.
And 2 touchdowns.
Yeah. Heck of a player.
Those are crazy numbers for that position.
7-time Pro Bowler, 5-time All-Pro, 2013 Defensive Player of the Year. And, a guy who's going into the Hall of Fame despite only playing 8 years. It's what he's 34 years old.
He could still be playing.
Yeah.
I mean, you could still be fighting if you wanted. I mean, there's no.
Look,
no?
There's actually there was just you probably saw this.
Yes, the Gina Carano and
Ronda Rousey are fighting. Gina Carano is a year older than me and hasn't fought in 17 years. So I'm never going to rule it out. If somebody comes with a big bag, let's see, that would take 10 more years since my last fight. So if someone comes to me when I'm 52 years old, they're like, we want to see you for the first time in 17 years. I'm not going to rule it out, Jeff.
Okay, who's watching that fight? Like, are people going to enamored to watch those 2 fights?
You're going to watch it.
I mean, I'm not, but
you are.
Is Gina Carano still blackballed from Hollywood? Is that still a thing?
No, she won her lawsuit against Disney, and it sounds like they're going to try to find a way to get her back into the Star Wars universe.
Oh, okay. I had no idea. Good for her.
Yeah.
Those Hollywood liberal elites who'd want to be in.
It's kind of like have your cake and eat it too for her, because she just got a big fat check from the Disney Corporation for their wrongful blackballing and termination from her, and they're just like, well, now that the lawsuit's over, we're looking forward to working with Gina again.
What did she do for? What was her role in Star Wars?
She was. Oh man, I love this because Jeff loves Star Wars.
So I watched that one. It was good.
She played like a side character in the Mandalorian series. She was Cara Dune, a former Imperial shock trooper who is now part of the rebellion.
I'm surprised I didn't know that.
I'm really surprised you didn't know that. Have you seen the new trailer they put out for The Mandalorian and Grogu?
Of course I have.
I
was looking up if those were real words or not, but they seem to be real.
Your kids are going to want to see. Your kids are going to want to see that movie, Jeff.
Oh, can I tell you? My son broke my heart last night. Just a tiny bit. He didn't actually do it, but he's wanting to watch The Office. Okay, he's 11 and a half. And a friend of mine the other day brought up that his kid started watching The Office about that time. So I was like, okay, I've watched every episode of The Office 10 times. Like it's not that bad for 11 and a half. He won't get the jokes for the most part, but the rest of it he sort of will understand. And season 1 is pretty rough. All right, it's tough. You have to stick through it to get to the middle of season 2 basically, and then season 3 and to 7 is like the best TV of all time. And it's like Norman just couldn't get through the first episode last night. I wasn't watching with him. I think I have to watch with him because that will kind of maybe keep him more interested. The first season is tough. Like it's not, Michael Scott's a different character. I thought about just skipping the first season. Nothing in that first season really matters for the rest of the show, other than you see Michael Scott change into someone who's much nicer. Spoiler alert. But I was kind of bummed that he was not into it. I thought he would be.
The thing that I was blown away most when I went back to rewatch The Office was how different Steve Carell looks in season 1.
Okay, so there's a podcast that Kevin Malone, Brian Bumgarner, he does called like an oral history of The Office. It's really good. It's like 12 episodes, and they talk a lot about this, about how they basically the first season they made Michael Scott like way too angry of a boss and like not a nice spirited person, right? And then they changed in season 2 to make him. They put his hair forward because it was slicked back in season 1.
Yeah,
they put the hair forward, and then they made him a nicer person. Now, he still had the same like sort of mess ups, but he was nicer. And they ended. It's interesting. They ended every episode with something positive, like just something positive every episode, like to end every episode. And when you watch it back like that, season 2 moving on, it's did. They made him a much softer character, and they also didn't make him. The first season he was kind of dumb. And they decided, like, he's actually not dumb. He's actually good at sales, which he was, for most of the show. And they put that in the storyline as well. So it's a good listen. I listen to when I travel and whatnot. I listen to, I think, twice through. So it's a good podcast.
It's the real distinction between the British Office and the American Office. Like, the Ricky Gervais character in the British Office is not likable ever.
Correct.
He's like, the reason you watch it is because he's cringy in a hateable way, and Michael Scott ends up being cringy in a lovable way.
But that's the difference between, I think, sort of American, how we consume and like our characters versus English, right? Like that's in England that works. In America, they found out it just doesn't work that way.
All right, back to actual sports here. The Kansas City Chiefs are restructuring Patrick Mahomes' contract. Yeah. What does this mean? Is this like a big picture? Oh crap, our dynasty has crumbled, and now we have to try to fix it. How is it interpreted in the locker room and in NFL circles when something like this is necessary for a franchise?
Well, they're $70 million over the cap. That's why they did it. And so they're just moving money around to afford a roster this season. So I think he was going to be something like $70 million. Maybe they're less. Maybe they're $50 million over the cap. His cap.
I'm reading $57 million over the cap.
Yeah, and his cap number was like $78 million this year. No, this is just them pushing money to a different year. And the bill will come due at some point, probably when the team isn't as good. But look, Mahomes coming off an injury, as we know. I don't think he'll be healthy to start the season, but they certainly, I think, feel comfortable with where the team's at. Travis Kelce is, I think they feel like he's going to be back. Rashee Rice has got to go. I think that after today and the allegations again of just terrible things, he got in trouble. Was it 2 years ago? 2 years ago with the speeding, right, and got in a car crash and left the scene of a car crash, and now his former significant other is talking, sued him in court for some really terrible things she alleged. I mean, you can't have a young player like that continually get in trouble. You just can't do it. So they will need some wide receivers, but they're close to being good. Look, the AFC, I think we saw this year, not as competitive as the NFC, right? And the Chiefs, as long as you have Mahomes, you're still in it. So I think they just view this as another way to move money around and build just a better team around Mahomes to keep this thing going.
Okay, this is very specific in the Venn diagram of sports and dad life, okay?
Yes.
I love Christian McCaffrey, the player.
Yes.
Christian McCaffrey went on the Rich Eisen show and basically said he doesn't change or hasn't changed diapers.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, that's not cool. I don't like that. I don't like you as much now because, he was like, I owe some diaper changes, but he's not going to make up for those lost diaper changes.
Why does he change a diaper?
What?
Why hasn't he done it?
Oh, yeah. Why hasn't he changed diapers? Like, how is that? How is the dad thing handled in NFL locker rooms? Like, are you encouraged to be the good hands-on dad, or is it like the macho culture of like, this is the 1950s and leave that to your significant other, to your wife? Like, I need to know.
Yeah. I just watched Mad Men through again, and it is really like striking, like how the parents, the dads in that show, like that's what life was, I guess, probably right in the late 60s. Like you just were like
kids didn't even know their dad.
Yeah, like you just like worked and did whatever you wanted, and you just showed back up when it was time to show back up at home. I mean, I think most of us, take it as a responsibility. I've never talked to my friends about it, but all my friends, to my knowledge, are great parents. And of course, great parent can vary depending on who is judging that. But I mean, my friends and whatnot seem like they're great parents. We heard Joe Judge the other day. I don't know if you saw that. He was testifying for
Yes.
Have Chambliss, and he said something like, basically, I tell the significant others that their husband or their boyfriend who's playing college football needs to sleep during the season, so don't bother them at all at nighttime for bottle for feedings and changings. And I just, first of all, I think it's inappropriate for a coach to talk to a spouse like that. Right, like that should be the spouse's job, if anything. It kind of made me cringe a little bit. I don't know, man. Look, certainly sleep is important, as we know. We know sleep's important, right? There's no doubt about that. But also that bonding time with your kids, like during that time, like that's just like an important bonding time, right? Like, and I just feel like if you miss all of that to say, I'm never doing this, I need to get ready to play football, I feel like you're missing a lot of opportunities. Like, I feel like Christian McCaffrey's missing opportunities to be with his young child, right? And also, like, you gotta help your spouse out, man. I'm sure they have help, but like, it's still, I feel like that, you want your spouse to feel like you're connected and you're doing this in a partnership. And if you haven't changed your diapers, what partnership is that?
It's the first thing I've disliked about Christian McCaffrey's entire public image, persona, everything I've ever seen from him.
What about him turning the Wi-Fi off at night? I thought that was a little odd.
He turns the Wi-Fi off at night?
Yeah, I think Fred Warner said that because they were talking about the electrical substation, and he's like, he's like Christian McCaffrey turns his Wi-Fi off at night.
He should, and you shouldn't be using Bluetooth headphones either. Anybody?
You use Bluetooth headphones?
No, I don't.
You use wired headphones?
Yes.
At all times?
Yeah, I don't have AirPods. I won't use AirPods. I don't have any.
Why not?
Because, man, I don't want. Because Bluetooth is like radiation going through your brain, man.
I'm probably gonna die from being obese. If I have it, I'm not worried about it. Bluetooth radiation in my head.
The nonchalant manner in which you just throw that out there is hilarious, but also terrible.
I mean, like, I'm just like, oh, okay. I'm just like, maybe I should worry about more things like that. I just don't. I will tell you something interesting though. My daughter has she had some breathing problems where she just wasn't like able to, like, it started this year in the fall. She wasn't able to read, and she's in 4th grade. She was able to read, but she couldn't like follow like line by line, and she would skip a lot of words. And it was kind of odd. And I took her to I told a friend of mine who said her son had the same problem. You need to go to a vision doctor, a vision developmental doctor. So we did, and bro, it is fascinating. So her eyes like don't work like the rest of ours. So it's like a neurological thing, like that she was born with, essentially. And so she started yesterday doing some green light therapy. So she wears these like glasses, and we have a light bulb, and she just looks through the, like, almost like they look like 3D glasses, right? And she did it yesterday at the doctor's office, and I saw, so when you shine a light in her eyes, her pupils get small and then immediately get big, which they shouldn't do, right? They should stay small. And so I watched, she did 20 minutes of this, and I saw her eyes did it less, right? So basically, my point is like, and the guy was telling me, the doctor was like, yeah, I use green light therapy to help me go to sleep at night, to help me with my immune system. I might hop on some of those new trends if I can figure out if it's good or not.
Let's go, man. I'm going to get a sauna. I've been reading some stuff about reading stuff about how saunas improve your heart health and reduce the likelihood of a myocardial infarction.
One of my pet peeves, pet peeve. This is a very Larry David thing. I see these influencers who like work out a couple hours a day, maybe 30 minutes a day, hour. Like they have all this recovery stuff at their house, sauna, Normatec, cold tub. I'm like, you don't need any of that. Can you stop, please? Can we stop?
You only like it if professional athletes have it?
I don't think professional athletes need it.
Are you gatekeeping on like the compression leggings?
I am gatekeeping on compression leggings. Oh, compression leggings. I see personally, because I don't like that stuff. So maybe that's why I'm not into it, but I don't wear compression leggings. Compression tights, sure, like the short ones, little 6-inch ones.
Did you see the wolf dog that ran onto the cross country skiing event?
Okay, I saw one video that I thought it was AI. That's real?
Yes. He's a
Okay.
Czechoslovakian wolf dog. His name is Nazgul, and I'll give you $1 if you know where Nazgul comes from.
Sean, you know that I don't know this answer.
That's why I offered you $1.
Is it Star Wars?
No, it's Lord of the Rings.
Oh, this is another nerdy thing.
Yes.
My son is still not watching any of those Harry Potter. That's it for him.
You know what? We'll get him there. He's 11 and a half, 12, 13. That's the right time for him to get into Lord of the Rings.
While we've been talking, I've been watching Finland and Switzerland play hockey, and I have a Finland wager for them to win, and they were down 2-0. It's now 2-2. While we've been talking, they scored 2 goals while we're talking.
I'm a little upset that the Czechs were not able to get Canada out of the tournament earlier.
That was Canada did not play well and won anyways. The 3-on-3 was electric, buddy. People are angry that's how they're determining these games at the end, but I don't know, man. It was for a non-ball knower like myself. 3-on-3 looked like a lot. It was pretty fun to watch.
I've kept you overtime again, which is just something I do every time we bring you on.
You have nothing to do, so
go play some video games or whatever
All right,
it is
buddy.
you got. Thanks,
We'll
man.
talk to you later. Bye.
That's Jeff Schwartz. He's the best. We got a lot to get into on the Daily Dump, including the canine appearance at the Olympics. It's the Sean O'Connell Show. ESPN 700, 92.1 FM. All right, if you listen to our advice, you got the truck with the duck to come out and check out your furnace and everything else in your house before this blizzard hit. If you did not listen to our advice, don't worry. Valley Plumbing can still help you out. It just might take an extra day or two for them to get out there. Valley Plumbing, the truck with the duck is now Valley Plumbing, Heating, and Air. You don't even have to call them, although 385-462-8577. Go to valleyplumbing.com, click on the Chat with Us feature on the menu, and just type in what you need. Tell them, hey, I've got an issue with my furnace. This is how I got my own plumbing appointment when I had a leak in my rental basement a couple weeks ago. I was on the air chatting with you, chatting with Valley Plumbing, and got an appointment set and got the issue fixed in all in the span, like from when I put out the request on the chat to when it was fixed was about 3.5 hours. So, and that's only because he had to leave the appointment to go get the part, to get the pump, the replacement version of that. If it was just something he already had in his truck, would have been even quicker. So Valley Plumbing, Heating, and Air, look for the truck with the duck. They take great care of us. They'll take great care of you as well.
I think, OC, the most impressive part of that story is that while you were chatting, you didn't go, hey, I've got a leak in my Utah football, win the Big 12, ? Because you were thinking about what you're trying to say and what you're trying to type at the same time.
Well, it might have happened. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I didn't listen back to that show. All right. We've got USA men's hockey and Sweden in quarterfinal action starting moments from now. Canada had their scare against Czechia. We're hoping that Team USA can handle business against Sweden and advance. Women's hockey, the gold medal game will be USA versus Canada. That's tomorrow.
That's tomorrow afternoon, I believe. I believe it'll be around 1 o'clock. And by the way, hopefully things turn out the way they did in the preliminary round, because that was a 5-0 shutout for Team USA. So I'm told that Canada's best player, one of their best players, certainly did not play in that first game, though. So we'll see how much of a difference that makes for the Fighting Maple Leafs there. But you got to feel good if you're Team USA.
There's apparently also a romantic connection between one of the Canada players and one of the Team USA players.
Really?
That they recently had a relationship end.
Oh,
so it's
the
like
rivalry's even more heated.
Battle of the X's. And that's not something they're going to lean into on an Olympic broadcast, obviously, because the Olympics definitely conducts their broadcasting a certain way.
They're above all that. Yes.
Yeah, they're above all the TMZ stuff, but it's there.
I bet it gets mentioned once.
It better get mentioned at least once.
I bet it gets mentioned, but they're not going to dwell on it for sure. They're the purity of the game. We're above the TMZ rivalry thing going on here.
If you listened at the top of the show, Mitch Marner helped Canada cap off a comeback win against Czechia in overtime to remain in this Olympic tournament. They were on the brink of elimination, scored an equalizer in the third period, and then got a backhander in overtime. About, what was it, 2-3 minutes into overtime? So unfortunately, the Czechs were not able to eliminate Team Canada, and you're going to have to deal with them yourself, USA. Let's go.
Yeah, impressive comeback by Canada, best team in the world until they're not, right? And hopefully that's next time U.S. faces them in the gold medal game, if not before. But, impressive comeback. It was 3-2 with, 3 minutes left? So the Czechs were leading. So that's I don't know the last time Canada men's hockey has been that close to being eliminated. It probably has been a long time. So impressive by the Czechs to get them on the brink of elimination, but unfortunately for them, they were not able to follow through and send the champs home.
Okay, I know that we do not share a conference, a basketball conference, a football conference, and anything conference with UCLA anymore. But I hope that just for the entertainment factor, people out there are still paying attention to Mick Cronin. He has been one of the gifts that keeps on giving in college hoops. And Mick Cronin, if you remember back to the vacancy at UCLA, he was like option number 6 or 7 for the UCLA Bruins. And Mick Cronin ended up having a couple of really, really good years that quieted all the conversation about how he was not their first choice. But now Mick Cronin, I think, might just be positioning himself deliberately to be a media guy. I mean, he's a very smart individual, so there's no way that he's just not giving this any kind of forethought. I genuinely do believe that Mick Cronin is trying to be as controversial as possible this year at UCLA, a year where they are not going to win anything significant. And I think he's doing it so that his volatility will be the thing that people remember about him most, which will get him a better media gig. If you're opinionated and you're brash and you're loud and you say things that other coaches are not willing to say, that could be a strike against you when it comes to having a new job, taking over another blue blood type program. Athletic directors and university presidents and whatever, they might not want to deal with that. But you know who loves it? ESPN, NBC, CBS, Amazon Prime, whoever. I really believe that's what Mick Cronin is doing. He ejected his own player last night. Did you see this, James?
I did.
UCLA playing a basketball game, doing the thing they're supposed to do, competing hard, and he has a player assessed a flagrant foul. And rather than leaving it to anybody else to adjudicate the punishment for that, Mick Cronin, in what was ultimately a loss to Michigan State, teed up his own guy effectively and sent him to the locker room. And the wild thing is, there was very little resistance. There was very little pushback or anger from the player, who I think everyone around Mick Cronin now just realizes, you know what? I'm not even going to fight this battle with Coach. Now, there's just absolutely no way that this is smiled upon at UCLA. They're in a situation where they can't afford to pay buyouts right now, and maybe his job is safer because of that. But this was I'm sure it's happened before. I've never seen it happen. I'm sure it's happened before where a coach was the one who made the decision to send a player to the locker room, not the referees.
Bobby Knight had to have done it a few times, right?
I would imagine so.
He did it. That was like baseball umpire ejection too, by the way, because obviously he's not going to do technical foul. You're out of here. He just did the finger to the locker room.
He just
go.
I mean, what is the end game if you're Mick Cronin?
Hey,
seriously,
we can't tolerate flagrant fouls down 27, my guy. We cannot tolerate that.
I don't understand. Like, I really think, as I was looking at this, because I saw it as a highlight like everyone else did. I'm like, what is he doing? And then you watch it and you're like, okay, he genuinely is someone that is just trying to ruffle maybe he wants to be fired so he can just, like, most coaches are not like this, but maybe he wants to be fired so they have to pay his buyout and he can just go sit on a beach somewhere for a couple of years before coming back and taking a television job.
Is Mick Cronin someone that can't even relax on a beach, though?
He
see
might
that
be.
kind of
I mean,
finding things to criticize about the way people are being on the beach around him.
The funny thing about it is Mick Cronin has complained about his team loudly and aggressively and repeatedly this year, even after wins.
Yeah.
Now, when you get spanked by Michigan State, he's going to have something to say. But even after wins, he's been just like, these guys, I need better, I need more. These guys stink. He hasn't said they stink. But he's been loud and angry about the way that college basketball is and about his own team, even after victorious performances at least 3 times this year.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't said they stink because he saw what happened to Jerome Tang. I'm going to hold back on saying you stink because I don't want to be fired for cause.
UCLA is 5.5 games out of first place in the Big Ten. They're 17-9 so far on the season. They've lost back-to-back games to Michigan and Michigan State. They've got Illinois next. That's a top 10 team right now. They finish out with USC twice, Minnesota and Nebraska sandwiched in there. And one of the hilarious things that Mick Cronin has complained about is having to travel and play on the road in the Big Ten. UCLA and USC are the reason that college sports are no longer regional. You cannot complain as a member of either of those institutions. You have to take the medicine, and you can whine about it privately, but do not bring us publicly any kind of problem. He's getting mad at reporters. The guy is just an absolute wild card right now at UCLA. This is a West Coast blue blood program that needs to see a return to glory sooner than later. It has not worked out in football in the Big Ten because we said it wouldn't. We knew it wouldn't. It has not worked out all that well in basketball in the Big Ten. And it doesn't look to be going great this year. You got the same record as Iowa in conference. Mick Cronin, I respect it. I love it. I can't wait to see you sitting on an analyst desk at halftime of an NCAA tournament sooner than later. Ejecting your own players, picking fights with reporters, complaining about travel. That's a trifecta. And he's hit the superfecta. He's done a bunch of stuff after, like, oh, we won this game. Let me tell you what I don't like. Mick Cronin, we got to get him on. Will you call him Friday at 1:30 so we can get him on for the airing of grievances?
We won't even tell him it's airing of grievances. We'll just say Mick Cronin on the show, and then he'll just
air
go.
his grievances.
He'll just go.
It'll be the best airing of grievances since Sarah Todd.
Which, it's about time we get her back on to air some grievances too. She
what?
wants to.
We just need to bring her on exclusively for the airing of grievances. It can be Sarah Todd as a regular contributor, sauna updates from down in Utah County.
Shout out to Alec from Vineyard.
Alec, we're expecting an update on Friday, by the way.
What else could go wrong in this sauna that Alec frequents, by the way?
You don't want to know the answer to that question. What else can go wrong in the sauna? Is it endless possibilities?
Yeah, that's a good point.
All right, we got my dog Rocky sitting here under the desk right now.
He did
in our
make
Broadway studio.
He's made a couple of appearances on the YouTube channel, just little smidgens of Rocky.
I buy him these marrow bones. They're like a cross section of a beef shin that they cut out, right? And normally they last him like a decent amount of time. He has just mowed through this thing. He sucked all the marrow out. Must be hungry. Anyway, because Rocky's here, a canine story from the Olympics. You saw Nazgul, the Czechoslovakian wolfhound, run onto the course and finish the race in Milano Cortina.
Not many better names for a dog, by the way, than Nazgul.
Than Nazgul? Look, I love the name. In naming a dog or naming a child, you always have to kind of try it on for size, right? You should never name your dog something like Mo or Bo because it sounds too much like no when you're yelling.
Ah, yeah.
All right?
Okay.
You can't name I named my dog, my previous dog was Mr. President. You got to know what you're going to shorten it. You're not going to yell when he runs away, Mr. President, get back here. You know what I mean?
A very important issue is just hit your desk, Mr. President.
Your Excellency, come on. Like you got to try all these things on for size.
It was Prez, right?
We shortened it to Prez. Everyone knew him as Prez. Prez was great. Great dog. Wonderful dog. Nazgul is one of those ones that's an amazing, it's a great reference point.
Yeah.
It's a cool character, very fierce and scary to be named after.
And if you don't know what we're talking about, Google Lord of the Rings.
Spoiler alert, it's from the Lord of the Rings. Don't tell them how it ends. It's only been out for a century plus. Okay?
Frodo, don't wear the ring.
Don't tell anyone what happens to the Nazgul. All right? But Nazgul is
especially now.
a really scary character,
Yeah.
right? So it's cool. You got this dog it
like
looks like a wolf.
A dark dragon type thing.
He looks like a wolf. His name is Naz. He's a Czechoslovakian
He's
wolfhound.
You just call him Naz for short, right?
Okay,
Or
I guess you
Naz?
probably do. But Naz, that's a mouthful. Anytime.
Nazgul.
And also, can you imagine explaining it to people who are not Lord of the Rings
Yeah.
fans? Which is fine. It's totally. I'm not saying don't name your,
It's
your dog that.
It's a cool evil dragon thing from Lord of the Rings.
This dog is not. He doesn't live in the United States of America, right? He's in Italy.
Yeah.
It's an Italian dog. Does it Nazgul sound any different in Italian?
It might be Nazgul.
It's not Nazgul.
Nazgul.
A gabagool, a Nazgul. I don't know.
If it's not, give me the gabagool. If it's not hot, I send it back.
Is there any Sweet Office reference again? Is there any word in Italian that sounds like Nazgul that could be confusing as to the fact you were naming it after the Lord of the Rings character? I don't know.
I hope it's close to some.
Because Nazgul in the English language it's just that.
Yeah,
There's nothing else.
It's a made up word by J.R.R. Tolkien.
Also, special shout out to all the people at the Olympics and on the broadcast that immediately found out not only the dog, the breed of the dog, everything about the dog. They knew in that moment. They're just like, this dog's going to be a star for us.
It's those Olympic researchers that Dan Patrick shouted and Mike Tirico shouted out on the show
100%
last week.
That's right.
Which you can hear 7 to 10 daily here on ESPN 700.
It's probably wonderful to just be at that level of stardom in our sports media world where you just show up looking nice and somebody hands you all the information that you need.
Or you need it right in that moment. They just tell it to you in your ear.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a Czechoslovakian, what'd you say, shepherd?
Wolfhound.
Czechoslovakian wolfhound.
The only danger there.
Name's Nazgul. That's from Lord of the Rings.
The only danger there is that you have to make sure you trust that person or else they could Ron Burgundy you. You know what I mean? This is actually a wild coyote. Then you look like an idiot. Actually, do they have coyotes in Europe?
I think they're American, if I'm not mistaken.
There are no wild coyotes, native or living in Europe.
Oh, wow. Or living. That's dark.
They are exclusively found in North and Central America. However, Europe has a similar predator called the golden jackal, which fills the same ecological niche as the coyote. Greece, Hungary, Romania, Bulgaria, as far north as Estonia and Denmark. The golden jackal is the European equivalent. So people in Italy might have thought that Nazgul was a golden jackal. He's not. He's a Czechoslovakian wolfhound. All right?
Glad we cleared that up.
Now that the snow is falling, and it appears that it's going to be aggressively falling here on and off for the next, day or two, you might be wondering why there's moisture between the panes of your windows. You might be wondering why, no matter how hard you pump that furnace, your house is cooling down so fast. Well, we've been spoiled this winter by not having a real winter. That time is over. And that means you need your house to be energy efficient. And by the way, you're going to need the same thing in the spring and summer when it heats up. You don't want to lose the cool air in the summer. And right now, you certainly don't want to have all that hot air escaping because you've got old, inefficient, bad, thin windows. Advanced Window Products is your solution. 801-850-9100, $2,500 off, 10 windows or more. Call them right now. Get on the schedule. And the best thing about working with Advanced Window Products, not only is it Nate Orchard and Jake Weber and a team that you trust and people that you know, but they make sure that everything is handled right here in Salt Lake City. I've told you about it many, many times. The measurement for the windows, the bid they give you, the sales process, the installation process, the manufacturing process. I guess manufacturing comes before installation. Manufacturing, installation, warranty, all done in the same place from the same office. You can see it every time you drive up and down I-15 just to the west of the freeway. Advanced Window Products is there and is going to be there for decades and decades and decades to come because they're already decades and decades old, and they've had a lifetime warranty for the entirety of their existence. And yeah, Jake and Nate, they're young guys, and they just took over the business a few years ago. They're still serving warranties from Advanced Window Products before they bought the business. That's the kind of people that they are. Your windows are guaranteed for life. Give them a call, 801-850-9100 or advancedwindows.com.
Oh, and you also see them all over Olympics coverage because they're all over the TV commercials too, as well as radio. So you know them that way too.
We got some men's hockey highlights in front of us. Finland 3-2 over Switzerland. Congrats to Jeff Schwartz on his wager cashing there. Canada with the overtime comeback against Czechia to stay in the tournament. Elimination game coming with Team USA against Sweden. Adrian Denny's going to join us right here in our Broadway studios for Between the Pipes to talk a little hockey, Olympic, Mammoth, and otherwise. It's the Sean O'Connell Show on ESPN 700, 92.1 FM. Welcome back to the Sean O'Connell Show on a snowy Wednesday here in Salt Lake City. Welcome in our good friend, Utah Mammoth, and now Olympic hockey insider, Adrian Denny. Between the Pipes, brought to you by Aladdin Industries and Valley Plumbing. Adrian, welcome. How are you?
Hey, Sean. Great to be with you again.
Great to be with you. We got a little Team USA Sweden elimination game coming, puck dropping momentarily here. So we'll both be somewhat distracted, I suppose, while we're trying to have a little conversation on radio. Finland advances with a win over Switzerland. Canada with the come-from-behind overtime victory against Czechia. Is that game a lot closer than you thought it was going to be?
They beat them 5-0 last week.
That's right.
Right? And it's 2-1 Czechia after one. Canada tied it up. And Czechia was outplaying them. And you could feel that they were going to get the lead back in that game. And then they get the lead with 7 minutes or so left. And you're like, all right, well, Canada's going to get one late and probably get another one 20 seconds after that. It went to the 3-on-3. Jordan Binnington had to make a couple big saves there before that ridiculous move by Mitch Marner, skating through 3 guys and backhanding one that found the back of the net. It was a fun game, right? If you're an American rooting for Team USA, you're rooting for Canada to lose, right? Because it's what we do. But I thought, well, if Canada isn't going to lose, at least it was a fun game.
It was a really fun game, and I do that sentiment we were talking about it, right? Like, it'd be nice to just have Canada out of the way, but also you want to win this gold medal by beating Canada. There is that element to it, right? Best on best. This is why we watch Olympic hockey. This is what we want to see. It's why the Four Nations was so fun. That's why you love the Stanley Cup playoffs. You want it to be best on best for the highest stakes. And so the hope is, obviously, that you can get past a really good Sweden team to take on Canada later on in this tournament. Hopefully, you end up winning a gold medal because you're able to beat Canada.
Yeah, so that's the story, right? That's what's expected to happen. But you're thinking, oh, we were talking about it last week. Oh, there's so much pressure on them. There's so much internal pressure. If they bow out and don't even play for a medal and they're done in the quarters, it was close. You knew they were going to come back and do it. And Sidney Crosby got hurt in the second period, and they didn't want his Olympic career to end like that. So you always kind of had a feeling that Canada was going to win that game. But for the U.S. today, boy, if that doesn't say watch out for Sweden, a team that they've never beaten in the Olympics with NHL players. United States is 0-2 against Sweden with NHLers, and they lost to them the last time they played with NHLers in the Four Nations face-off by a count of 2-1. So Sweden, who entered the quarterfinals, the play-in as a 7 seed, was the third highest favorite to win gold behind Canada and the United States. So this could be a good one too.
It'll be Hellebuck in gold today for Team USA, right?
Yep, he's gonna get the start. Jordan Binnington for Canada, he's kind of that guy that, I don't know, he wins big games, right? Game 7 of the Stanley Cup with St. Louis, overtime of the Four Nations face-off last year, but he's 8-17-6 with the St. Louis Blues this year. And John Cooper, the head coach for Team Canada, said that he decided about 360 days ago that Jordan Binnington would be their starter and take him in the Olympics. Connor Hellebuck, on the other hand, has been named the best goalie in the NHL multiple times, but he's got the reputation for not being able to win the big game. The Jets have never really advanced in the playoffs. You look at Four Nations last year. So this is kind of his chance here to win a big game, win some big games in between the pipes, because he's got that great record, that great reputation, but not in big games.
He's giving up a goal a game so far in the Olympics. He's 95% saves. He's played well in this Olympic tournament so far. And of course, if you're listening in Salt Lake City and you're gearing up to watch Team USA play hockey. The number one question you have is, will Clayton Keller be involved in this game against Sweden?
Looks like he's going to be there on that third line, replacing Kyle Connor for Winnipeg, who's a guy that you'd know who he was if he didn't play for the Winnipeg Jets. He's their leading scorer, over a point a game, just about a point a game every season. He's been in the NHL for about a decade. So that's the spot that Clayton Keller is taking on the third line. And we talked about how this Team USA team has been arranged, right? It's not just an all-star team. It's not just skill guys. They have their top 6 forwards, their skill guys. They've got some meat and potatoes. They're strong defensively. So they were put together as you'd put together a hockey team, not necessarily a dream team, a fantasy team. And so Keller not playing the first couple games, right? There's a lot of skilled players for Team USA, of which he is one. But to crack that top 6 with the game he plays didn't happen initially. We thought it might happen for game 2. It happened for game 3. And United States, a convincing win against Germany. So he's going to stay in today, play on that third line with Tage Thompson. We won that world championship with last summer, and playing with Dylan Larkin, who's another guy he's played internationally with. So that's what the third line is going to consist of there for Clayton Keller, who, hey, you're in this right now. It's win and you keep going, basically. So looks like Keller will be in the lineup the rest of the way for Team USA.
The puck has dropped. Jack Eichel won the opening face-off, and we're underway. 20 seconds down and counting as Team USA takes on Sweden in an elimination game. Milano Cortina Winter Olympics. And as Adrian just mentioned, we'll see Clayton Keller on the third line. You got some Kachucks with Eichel and company on that opening line. How much do you expect, if you can make it past today, how much do you expect those lines to continue to be like reshuffled? We talked about this at the beginning of the tournament, how consistent you're going to keep a lineup when it's effectively all-star teams playing all-star teams, and figuring out ways to get the most out of each person is sometimes who they're skating with. So, 3 games in, this is the 4th. Are we going to see Team USA kind of settle into a regular rotation?
I think this is it. I think this is what they're going with, unless OC they're able to dress an extra forward and a defenseman in the Olympics, right? In the NHL, if a player gets hurt in the middle of the game, you play short. You're short a defenseman, you're short a forward. You're playing 11 forwards, 5, 6 defensemen, whatever it is. But here, each team has an extra forward or a defenseman. So the only way that you'd think that would change is if Team USA falls behind 2-0, 3-0, and Mike Sullivan's like, to shake up the lines here, does something that clicks, and you take that into the next game with you. But outside of that, you're going to be rolling what you have here going in. The pool play was your chance. All right, 3 games in 4 days. Keep everybody fresh. See if there's something else that we have that we didn't know, like Clayton Keller coming in, who wasn't part of the 4 Nations team last year. But unless something goes south and then gets right, I don't think you'll change anything.
In pool play, won all 3 games, maximize your points, et cetera, et cetera. Did the team play up to your expectation? Did we get out of Team USA from a goal-scoring perspective, from a defensive perspective, from a goaltending perspective? Did they play up to the level you thought is necessary in order for them to come away with the gold?
Well, they got some changes made in Milano with Jeremy Swayman having that puck go in from center ice, and they had the black boards that matched the color of the puck. So they got that handled. That was the first situation, right? Because the goalie couldn't see the puck because the boards were black. Outside of that, you're playing Latvia, you're playing Denmark, as we talked about. Kind of a scrimmage situation for me. And then you see Germany, and that's when they really kind of turned it on and pulled away. For me, we saw it in the Canada-Czechia game. Hockey is a game, I think, where if you're playing a team from the same league, if you get good goaltending, if you play hard, if you have a good game plan, you're going to have a chance to to win the game. In the NHL, if you're just an okay team, I think you can be a 500 team if you've got those three things: good goaltending, you play hard every night, and you've got good coaching. I think we saw that in Canada, Czechia against Latvia and Denmark for the U.S. As we said, I thought it was a really overmatching situation where how good are they going to feel regardless of what happens in those two games, just with the disparity. Both those teams had NHL players, but then you see Germany, okay, Leon Draisaitl, that's the real deal. JJ Peterka was out there, and I think they felt good about that game coming into now elimination games. After today, they'll be playing for a medal.
Team USA now 20 seconds into a power play, slashing right next to the crease by Forsling on Sweden to give Team USA a power play. So first big opportunity here with only 4 minutes gone in the first period. We'll keep you abreast of what's going on with Olympic hockey. From an individual standpoint, and seeing guys that we already know are really excellent hockey players end up even on the Olympic stage maybe excelling more than we thought. Macklin Celebrini has 9 points so far in the Olympics. He's a freaking teenager and is just at the very, very highest level of the game. And we knew this. The San Jose Sharks are ahead of pace, I think, in their rebuild, and a large part of that is because they got back-to-back number one picks, and him being the player that they expected him to be has gone a long way to support those efforts. But here he is on the international stage showing, really no nerves, no jitters, no anything. He belongs on any ice sheet there is in the world.
And 2 months ago, I think there's a discussion, is he on the team? Do they include him in the Olympic roster?
Because Canada's got so many guys that you could say are deserving, and he's young. He's going to have 3 more cracks at the Olympics at least.
Yeah, and now all of a sudden it's one of those things. How could they live without him? Like, literally, I don't think they would have won the game today without Macklin Celebrini. He picked up a huge assist, and if he doesn't, they don't win. I was talking about it last week with a friend in the NHL. Like, do you realize 2 months ago he wasn't even a sure thing and was kind of, as you said, he'll have 3 more cracks at it. There's lots of other guys.
We've seen some chippiness in Olympic hockey, which it's reduced in an Olympic tournament because, friendly, also more heavily penalized if you do get into fights. France has a non-NHL player who got into the fight with Tom Wilson, and he is now out. He's banned. He's done, obviously. Adjudicating the that portion of the game in the Olympics, do we do it correctly? Is the game misconduct the right level of enforcement on anti-fighting on this international stage? Because it's a big part of NHL hockey, not as big as it used to be. Where do you stand on it in the international game?
I'm fine with it, I guess. I don't think the NHL is, when they were negotiating to be part of this and to send their players over there, I don't think it was a huge sticking point. I don't think one way or another they had a strong feeling about it, because you don't see a lot of fights in the NHL to the level that we saw decades ago. But boy, did France take that the wrong way.
Well, they were down 10-2 at that point.
Yeah, and they were only going to have one more game left in the Olympics, so it was kind of like Mick Cronin last night for UCLA ejecting his own player.
I kind of respect it. If you're this cat, again, you're a non-NHLer. You're supposed to be just happy to be there, I guess. And you decide, you know what? If I'm going to get embarrassed in a loss, I'm at least going to get some licks in here.
I mean, he went after the toughest guy on Team Canada after he laid down a hit on Nathan McKinnon.
Yes.
Right? Canada's one of their top players. So So that's what started it. And then he slammed Tom Wilson's face into the ice. Like, if you're watching that, I don't know. I think if you're watching that as a coach in a pro league, I mean, ECHL, I can tell you about the guy's skill level completely, but to me, that's kind of a guy you're thinking, let's go get him.
Keller on the ice now for Team USA. Or he was. I think we just had a line change, actually, so he's now off. But 91, if you're watching at home or you're heading home to watch the rest of this game, 12 minutes remain, 12 and a half almost remaining in the first period, still 0-0. USA with 6 shots on goal, Sweden so far with 3. If you're looking for Clayton Keller, he's 91 in the Team USA roster. Do you like the kit?
I do. I think it looks
good. I've enjoyed the tournament. Like, I like Germany's uniforms. Latvia, you don't see enough maroon on flags. Yeah. You know what I mean?
As I've watched a couple games here, Canada included, I've thought to myself, you turn on the game and you're like, you want to make sure you know who's who. For USA, you know who it is. The red, white, and blue. There's been several games you turn it on. One team's red, one team's white. Not really sure who's who. So I like that identity. I think that bleeds pretty strong for the Americans.
Adrian Denny, our guest here. He's our Utah Mammoth insider, our hockey insider, as we're watching live right now, USA versus Sweden at the Milano Cortina Olympics. Sidney Crosby, with an injury, exited the game today, ruled out. He's going to have an MRI. Hockey does the thing where they tell you upper body, lower body, and not much else. He is no longer the engine that drives Canadian hockey, but he's still a heck of a player. What kind of an issue is this going to be for Canada if he's limited or completely unavailable?
He's just such an emotional leader. I think that's the biggest thing is the captain. But today they were able to use that as motivation. Like, let's go win this for Sid. If you're the Pittsburgh Penguins right now, I think you're pretty freaked out about it because they're currently second in the Metropolitan Division in a decent spot, but only 5 points above the playoff line. He'd be the second player in this Olympics that got seriously hurt. Kevin Fiala of LA was the other one. But they're fine without Sidney. You'd like to have him. It's his last Olympics. I root for the Pittsburgh Penguins because I like him. I just think he's a nice guy. He's been doing it for 2 decades, and he's still got it. We saw him score an overtime goal against Utah last year here in Salt Lake. So they'll be fine, but it's too bad because he's such a ideal captain.
We've got a PFL event in Pittsburgh at the end of March, by the way, so we'll still be in Penguins hockey season. I might have to go heckle some Penguins if I have the free time while I'm there.
That'd be fun. That is going to be a good game too. When you're there, because they're going to be in the middle of that playoff chase. So that in the NHL, every team that's fighting for a playoff spot just gets better in March and April. That's why you never gain any ground. It's why you never get any help. It's why you want to be in the position now, because everybody wins and you get no help. So look forward to that if you can make it out there.
From the NHL perspective, we talked about this at the beginning of the show today, the fact that, the way these calendars line up, and we've been talking sports calendars with, the NFL playoffs kind of interfering with college football, then college football having to figure out if they want a month off after the regular season's over before they start a college football playoff. Well, I feel like, if this were an NBA problem, it would be a massive, massive problem where the league would just be like, no, we're not pausing our season and sending our best players over to play in what are ultimately amateur contests, exhibitions in an Olympics where they can get hurt. And, Sidney Crosby getting hurt, he is whether you think he's still one of the best, top 25 players in the NHL, he is one of the top 25 stars of the NHL, undoubtedly, right? So from a league perspective, having a guy like that hurt if he misses any kind of serious time is disastrous result for the Olympics. But in hockey, there's not even a conversation necessarily, not a loud one, not an extensive one, about, hey, is this something we all want to do? I mean, when it was put forward again, hey, should we bring NHLers back to the Olympics? All of them were just like, yes, I want to play in the Olympics. And maybe behind closed doors, there's some guys who are a little bit more hesitant. But the calendar thing is really, it's a fascinating, I think, narrative about the difference between hockey players and every other professional athlete.
It's revolutionized the All-Star game in the NHL. The Four Nations face-off they did last year. This year is, kind of the All-Star break. Like the Olympics without NHLers playing hockey, it would feel off. Like
you got to be a super, super hardcore hockey fan to care about that, because you're going to get some college guys that'll soon be playing for your NHL team, but nobody here, certainly not in Utah, is watching a lot of college hockey.
I think they would do the schedule differently. I think they would start it earlier, which is going to happen starting next year when the league adds a couple games. I think everybody realizes the first half of this season, and for some teams, the second half after the Olympic break has been a little too crazy in terms of the amount of games, the amount of wear and tear, the amount of injuries that have happened. I think they would adjust that, but I think the NHL likes this mid-season showcase that they're able to have to display hockey in a different way that's not everybody converging on Long Island for an all-star game, which is what we were going to have. How much fun is that, Sean? Do you guys want to carry the game?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. No. They'll take it.
Actually, the Four Nations thing inspired the NBA to change their all-star format to great success this all-star weekend. This last weekend was NBA all-star weekend. I don't know how much of it you caught, because I know you were all the way dialed in on this Olympic stuff and hockey stuff, but it inspired, I think, the NBA, and they did a little copycatting, not direct. It worked, though. It was great to see.
And how long have they been looking for something to make the NBA All-Star weekend
long time.
Click?
Yes.
Like a while. So, yeah, NBA taking one from the NHL. I like it. What else can we share with them?
Still 0-0, just under 9 minutes left to play in the first period. Physical game so far between Team USA and Sweden. How many guys on Sweden's roster are non-NHLers?
I would say, let's see, 8D, so all the D. I think they all are.
They all are, right?
I think they all are, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and all three goalies, yeah, they all are.
From a Mammoth standpoint, cool to see Clayton Keller, obviously, in this game and in this Olympic tournament. What have you heard about the rest of the guys and how they're taking advantage of this Olympic break?
They got back to practice yesterday. As we talked about, kind of the training camp that you get to start the second half of the season. They're going to be practicing over a week before the Mammoth get back to work a week from tonight against the Colorado Avalanche. But head coach Andre Tourigny telling us after practice yesterday, during the season, you get better by watching video, right? Yet you play so many games. There just isn't time. You don't have the energy to spend an hour and a half working on special teams. You work on stuff in, incremental periods of time that you can, but you don't have an hour and a half to spend on special teams like the Mammoth did yesterday in portions, working on their 5-on-3, working on some neutral zone stuff. So they were excited to get back. When you come back, I can't speak for other sports, but in hockey, when you get back from like Christmas vacation or the All-Star break, and it's been like 3 or 4 days, and the guys haven't seen their teammates, it's like, holy cow! First day of school, haven't seen half the friends in 3 months, right? So that's always exciting. We heard that there was that, but just the opportunity to be able to actually work on stuff. We've heard the noise on the Mammoth power play, how you'd like it to get a little better in terms of percentage. Penalty kill was kind of struggling going down the stretch. So to be able to have that training camp. But here's the biggest thing, Sean, for Utah is to have Logan Cooley and Alexander Kerfoot skating with the regular group for a week before you return to action, with Cooley having not played since December 5th and Kerfoot having only played 9 games. And then you come out of the break, and it's going to take 2-3 games for teams to get back to that midseason level, which is another thing that I think will help Logan Cooley when the Mammoth get back at it against Colorado a week from tonight. And same thing with Kerfoot, kind of easing him back in. When Sean Dursey came back last year after missing 40-plus games, he felt like he was in preseason and in training camp playing against guys in midseason form and never felt like he got back at it. So for Cooley missing the 28 games, this could be something that could really help him and help the Mammoth, and 8 days of working on that power play.
With that in mind, knowing that you've got a little bit of an extended camp for him to get back, from an actual minutes on ice standpoint, what does reintegrating Cooley look like? Will they put him on a bit of a minutes restriction, a pitch count, or are they just going to let him run?
I haven't heard that would be part of the plan. I think the hope is, 3 weeks between games. He was skating before in a non-contact jersey, kind of a week here of extended practice time. And then you go out and you know the teams aren't quite where they were when they went into the Olympic break. I would say that the hope is you put him out there and he's ready to go, eases his way back into it, and he's flying with the group.
Adrian, it's always great picking your brain about everything going on in the NHL and outside of the NHL right now, because we've got Olympic hockey, including right now live in front of us, Team USA versus Sweden. Now, I assume you've made a plan on how you're going to get back to your residence without missing too much of this thing?
I guess we'll see. From the time that I parked my car, responded to an email, and took a phone call to getting out of my car, I think like 4 inches of snow had fallen in a 10-minute stretch. So we'll see what we have to get out there. And worst case scenario, I'll just come back up here and watch it with you.
Perfect. Well, you're always welcome. Again, appreciate your time. And everyone out there, not just Adrian, everyone out there, travel safe, take a little extra time, drive slow. Remember, you're Utahns. You know how to drive in the snow. You've just forgotten because we haven't had a real winter yet. This is our first big, road snow day, I think.
I will say this. On my way down here from Holiday, I was pretty impressed. Everybody was keeping their distance, driving at a slow speed, but as my dad always used to say, it just takes one. So knocking on wood as I head out of here.
All right. Are we about to see a record broken in professional sports? I'll maybe answer that question next. It's the Sean O'Connell Show, ESPN 700, 92.1 FM. All right, we talked about this earlier. The Seattle Seahawks are for sale. I don't think Ryan Smith can bid on the Seahawks. I think that's going to be a more expensive price tag than even he and his illustrious accomplishments can probably afford. Plus, he's a Utah guy. He doesn't, and you're not going to be able to bring a franchise, an NFL franchise, to this home state. But my question is, will the defending Super Bowl champs, recently crowned Super Bowl champs, Seattle Seahawks, will they break the professional franchise sales price record? A lot of the projections out there right now are anywhere from $7 to $11 billion. Now, throwing a range out there, $7 to $11 billion, does not do justice to just how massive that range is. The disparity between $7 and $11 billion is $4 billion. That is several pro sports franchises from a couple years ago. That is like you could tuck a Jazz in there.
Yeah, you could tuck two Jazzes in there, actually, from what Ryan Smith bought the majority stake for. But think about it this way. The Lakers just sold for $10 billion.
$10 billion.
That's the highest price for any North American sports team. The Celtics, like a year before, or was it just a few months before?
We're $6.1 billion?
6.1, which was the previous record. And maybe Washington Commanders was a little bit higher. But the Seahawks, you're talking about, this would be $7. The low end of that would be the second highest ever, and the high end of that would be $1 billion more than the highest sale ever for a North American sports franchise. So even from that perspective, you're like, okay, this is a ridiculous amount of money no matter how you slice it.
So, but the question for me is, like, if this were the San Francisco 49ers, the LA Rams, if this were the Dallas Cowboys, right? If we were talking about even, like, I think the Jets, definitively, I would go out and say this is going to be the most expensive franchise ever sold. This is going to break the record. It's Seattle, though. And I know they just won a championship. And Seattle, to me, is one of the coolest cities in the country. It's awesome. Love Seattle. It is, from a pro sports market standpoint, it is a bit of a unique animal, though. It's kind of out there by itself in the Pacific Northwest. It is not necessarily the massive population base. They've done a really good job with uniforms, merchandising, and obviously if you're going to buy a franchise, you might care about that as a revenue stream. I don't think it matters, although it is an odd anecdote right now. I don't think it matters that there's no obvious, like, face of the franchise player that you're going to sell a ton of jerseys and things like that. I guess JSN would be that guy, but he's a wide receiver. He's not like Sam Darnold, even though he's a great story right now. Sam Darnold is not going to be the number one selling jersey in the NFL, not even probably for your Seattle franchise, because he's still Sam Darnold.
Yeah, and like you think about the previous Super Bowl winning team, you had face of the franchise guys on defense like Richard Sherman, Bobby Wagner, a lot more understated, but as a player, face of the franchise type guy. This dark side Seattle defense, which, by the way, incredible nickname.
It's great.
Is more of, because they're still so young. Hardly any of those guys, if any, have reached their prime, right? There's not really. It's not like the first Super Bowl winning team and the one that lost in the Super Bowl.
No one's
that
buying
has faces of the franchise on.
No one's
there.
buying an Eamon jersey.
Yeah, they had DeMarcus Lawrence, I guess. He's a veteran on there, but he's not
And Leonard Williams. You're not buying a Leonard Williams jersey.
Is it Devin Witherspoon? Is that the defensive back? Am I getting the first name right? Anyway,
I think that's right.
He might be the best player on the team. On the defense, it feels like certainly, but he's not that guy yet either. Maybe in a couple of years.
But also, like, again, you're talking about a multi-billion-dollar transaction. You're not going to be the prisoner of a moment and worry about that excessively.
Right.
It is just kind of an odd happenstance right now that your Super Bowl champion Seattle Seahawks don't have the obvious like number one jersey seller. And that's fine. It's a couple $100,000 a year revenue stream, maybe a couple $1 million a year revenue stream in that's a tiny drop in an ocean-sized bucket because of what the television contract is, because of what the ticket sales are, and all that kind of stuff.
Well, and locally, that's more of like a you might get hung up on that because nationally you don't have that recognizable face, but locally you're still going to sell the crap out of those guys' jerseys.
Yeah, but like
because they know who they are.
So like, you could go to any elementary school in the country right now and find a Patrick Mahomes jersey on some kid. You know?
Yeah.
Like, you can find a Josh Allen jersey at every middle school in the country.
Like here in Utah, you find some Josh Allen jerseys
all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're not seeing that. You're going to find more like Brock Purdy jerseys in Connecticut than you're going to find Sam Darnold jerseys. And again, it's not a reason to buy or not buy a franchise. Whoever ends up purchasing this thing is going to be focused on the returns based on what I said before: television contract, ticket sales, revenue share across the league in general. In the past and in the present, as far as we know, owning an NFL franchise has been a license to print money, whether you've got a great franchise or you have a terrible franchise. And right now, the Seattle Seahawks are the kings of the NFL. They just won a Super Bowl. They are a well-run organization that the Allen family has said, all right, now is up for sale. The Lakers sold for $10 billion, but that was the LA Lakers. That is an international brand that nobody can question ever. I mean, you go find, like we talk about, well, who's got that jersey in Connecticut? You can find a Laker jersey in Hong Kong.
Especially because they got LeBron and Luka on the team.
I mean, I'm going to Uganda and Tanzania in 2 weeks, right?
You got to count the Lakers jerseys.
If I say, do you guys have a favorite NBA team? They're going to tell me it's either the LA Lakers or the New York Knicks. Yeah. And they probably don't know who the Utah Jazz are.
Yeah.
And that's fine. And I'll say, what about the Seattle Seahawks? And they'll be like, never heard of them. So the Lakers are in a different stratosphere. But what about the NFL? The NFL is America's league. It is the biggest thing going. Does the fact that your Super Bowl champion is now up for sale mean that we're going to see a North American sports franchise sales record, price record, just because it's an NFL team and not just a crap NFL team, but the Super Bowl champions? I don't know if being in Seattle hurts them or helps them. If it were a major media market, then I think we'd probably be like, yeah, they're at least going to match that Lakers sales price because it's the NFL. The NBA is awesome and is a nice second place, but the NFL is king.
But at even if it's $7 billion, which they've named as the low end of what they think they're going to get, that's still going to be, like I said, if the Lakers hadn't just sold for $10 billion, that'd be the richest transaction as far as buying a sports team than we've ever had, right? So even that tells you the power of the NFL, even if it doesn't top the Lakers.
I am also very curious. I asked Jeff Schwartz about this. I'm also, from a sports business standpoint, I'm really, really curious to know if Roger Goodell and the other owners are courting foreign money and they want a foreign owner, or if they would rather have
part of the ownership group anyway.
Yeah, because and foreign sounds like such a harsh, like xenophobic word. You know what I mean? Like they are trying to make this an international brand. The NFL lags behind the NBA in international recognizability. It doesn't translate the same way. Basketball is a much more universal sport. American football is exactly that. It's quintessentially American. And in places like Mexico, obviously, it's gotten a lot bigger. Western Europe, it's gotten a lot bigger.
It's a big deal in Canada too, but I kind of don't count North America as like
Canada barely
exporting the
feels like
game.
international.
Yeah, and even Mexico, like you, of course you know what the NFL is. It's a few hundred miles. It's like 10, 12-hour drive at the longest to to an NFL game, right? So I don't necessarily count North America in that it's like exporting the game, even though it is technically international. But 9 international games, the most ever this year, this coming year, first time in Paris and I think Rio de Janeiro. So they're doing their best to do it. That's a good thought by you. I wouldn't be surprised if they would like to have a European owner, for example, or a South American owner.
I'm looking up the potential buyers for and it's just such a sobering reality where it's just like there are literally like 10 people you've ever heard of that can afford a sales price like this. Everyone's like, it's just going to be Jeff Bezos. You got to have that kind of money. And it's not like you have to have it in liquid cash, but you got to be able to, I mean, these are very, very complicated processes. So you got to be able to push all the way through, and you got to pass the vote from the other NFL owners and all that stuff. So,
well, and typically is I think majority of our listeners already know this, but typically you're talking about a group of people too. It's not one person spending $7 billion in this case. It'll probably be 4, 5, 6 people combining their wealth to buy this team. 0-0, end of the first period, by the way. First intermission, still 0-0. 10 shots each, I believe, is how they ended the first period. So competitive game for Team USA Sweden.
Pretty physical game. We will give away a couple of tickets and do as much crosstalk as we can. I know Spence is battling this snow-related traffic on his way in, it sounds like, but we'll touch base with Spence if we can. And we've got some Breaking Benjamin tickets. They're taking over the Utah First Credit Union Amphitheater on September 30th. Topical trivia every day right around this time. We give away a pair of tickets. We'll do so next at 877-353-0700. Sean O'Connell Show wrapping up next on ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM. Breaking Benjamin. I got a pair of tickets for you. When Breaking Benjamin shows up, you want to be there. That'll be September 30th at the Utah First Credit Union Amphitheater. If you could answer this very easy trivia question. Team USA hockey playing right now against Sweden. It's the first intermission, tied 0-0 through 20 minutes. Utah Mammoth captain Clayton Keller is a member of the Team USA hockey squad in Milano Cortina. He does not have his normal sweater number on. His normal jersey number for the Utah Mammoth has been swapped out. He's wearing what number for these Italian Olympics? 877-353-0700 for a couple of tickets to Breaking Benjamin.
It's really easy, except that we are asking you to answer in Italian.
I forgot to say that you have to text it in Italian.
No, just kidding. Just do the
Or
numbers.
you can call in and
or
say
Roman
it,
numerals. That's also Italian.
You can say it in an Italian accent. And if you don't know how to do one, just pretend you're Mario.
Yeah.
It's me, James. The drive is coming up next. Spence Checketts, I'm sure, has some thoughts on all things. We were just talking about the potential sale price of a Seattle Seahawks, and the NFL's place in the pantheon of great sports, I think, is really going to be either highlighted or tested or questioned, or I don't know the right way to put it, but I would say that the LA Lakers are among the 5 most valuable sports franchises in the United States, right? Yankees, Cowboys, Lakers, these types of franchises, right? You could probably put in some of the more recent, like I don't know what the Kansas City Chiefs would be worth right now. I know media market matters a lot, but the Seahawks are their own little weird animal up there in the Pacific Northwest with their unique jerseys, which in the case of like Oregon, I think makes them more marketable and more interesting and better. But I'm going to be keeping a close eye on the sale price for these Seattle Seahawks. I do not have enough money in the couch cushions to make a bid myself, unfortunately. I would like to be an owner, an NFL owner. I would not like to be the Seattle Seahawks owner necessarily, but if it was the only one I could afford or the only one that was for sale, I'd probably bite that bullet. So, men in action right now, USA versus Canada gold medal game on the women's side of Olympic hockey tomorrow. And we'll be talking about it. It'll be right around this time of day. What is it? Is it 1:10 Mountain Time or is it 1:10 Eastern Time that puck drops?
Checking real quick here. It is... Oh, it's actually 11:10 Mountain Time. So
Okay.
It'll be right at the start of the show
11:10 Mountain Time, 1:10 Eastern. Okay. Crosstalk is brought to you by our friends over at Advanced Window Products, 801-850-9100. $2,500 off, 10 windows or more. And I'm telling you, if you didn't listen to our advice earlier and get this taken care of, you're probably feeling the cold breeze potentially coming through your old windows on our first real blizzardy day of 2026. Spence Checketts, the driver, up next, and he's here in studio. Hey, Spence.
I'm here to break some news.
Uh-oh.
We're no longer good at snow. We forgot how to do it. Salt Lake City, Utah.
It's a temporary thing. It's the first snow of the year. People are always just like, what happened?
As a result of no snow all year, do we still may I make a plea to our government officials?
Okay.
Let's get the plows out on the road. Do we still have plows?
I actually heard that we sold the plows.
We sold the plows.
We sold the plows.
We probably sold the plows to like Texas because they had more snow than we did.
We sold
this
the
year.
plows to pay for snow machines for the resorts.
Well, it would make sense. And all right, so that's number one. Number two, everyone forgets how to drive in the snow.
Yeah, but then they remember you got to get like a little bit of practice.
I left my house at 1:20.
It took you 40 minutes?
It takes me 8 minutes to get here, and I left early just in case. It took me 40 minutes to get down for south.
Okay. I just got so my daughter went on a field trip today
Uh-huh.
to the planetarium.
Nice.
Very exciting.
Yeah, awesome.
Except we just got a message from the school that the bus couldn't get back up the hill.
Oh.
So the kids had to get out and walk the rest of the way to the school in a snowstorm.
Oh, my gosh.
And I don't know if you were like this in elementary school, but you know how you're never cold?
Yeah.
And you never want a coat?
Uh-huh.
You never want a coat with you?
My mom used to get so mad at me all the time.
So my 6-year-old daughter was walking through a blizzard with just a T-shirt on.
Oh.
And the teacher already sent out messages to all the parents just like, hey, some of the kids had to change clothes because they got so wet. And some of them just are a little bit cold. We got hot chocolate back at school because it's like, dang it.
Yeah.
So I guess collectively as a state, we have forgotten how to do snow.
We are now bad at snow. And we're going to have to get good at snow because we're getting a lot more over the next 72 hours, I think.
This is great. So my guy Kenny Florian, who if you're a big fight fan, you know Kenny. Kenny is coming into town to do a seminar at our gym this weekend.
Nice.
And he lives in Charlotte, North Carolina right now. And he moved from L.A. to Charlotte, North Carolina. He's from Boston originally, but we've been talking in anticipation of him showing up. And I'm just like, yeah, man, no snow this year. So you just, like, I guess, bring some running shoes.
Uh-huh.
And he's going to land
Yeah.
and be like that lion SOB.
Plenty of snow now. And I guess the good news is the mountains are getting what they need. And we'll actually have water because we do need water. We'll have water this summer, right?
Yep, see?
Okay.
There it is.
Right.
Old
What?
dads, this is how
We
you
need
react.
water.
You have to react to snow this way. You
Yeah.
can't, when you become 40 plus or you have a child, you automatically, anytime there's precipitation, we need the water.
Yeah.
We do need the water, Spence. I completely agree.
Like James
See? Not
never
even a hot
thought this
take.
way until he had a child.
And I've learned a lot about our alfalfa farming system.
Oh, from the governor?
Well, he's certainly one to blame. You
Okay.
realize that's where a lot of our water goes.
Yes, okay, all right.
Did you know they send it to like the Saudis for their horses?
I don't think that's true.
It is true. We need oil. First of all, you can calm down calling me out for a conspiracy theory for once, buddy.
I'm not calling you out. I'm just telling you it's not true.
No, I'm saying you can calm down. If you want to get into the conspiracy theories. Wait. I'm told sources
Hashtag.
our alfalfa is sent over to the Middle East for their horses.
I thought you meant the water.
No, the alfalfa is. Why would we send water, and how does one even do that?
I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about.
No, we actually send the alfalfa. Now, my
Wait, why is it harder to send water than alfalfa besides that it weighs more?
when did water become an import or an export?
We'll get Art Van.
There's a lot of places that import and export water.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I have work to do then because
Are you aware of St. George? Do you know about Las Vegas?
I'm aware
Where do you
that they
think-
exist.
where do you think
It's
they
by
get their
it's by
water?
Cottonwood Heights, right?
Yeah. Okay.
No, but here's my assertion. If we are sending them alfalfa, can they pay for our water if we need to, make sure that we have enough?
I thought water wasn't an import.
I'm asking questions. I don't have solutions.
Okay, let me ask you this before I get out of here.
What do you got?
Will the Seattle Seahawks sell for more than the Boston Celtics and or the LA Lakers?
For sure.
Interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
Because it's the Seahawks. It's not the Lakers. The
Yeah.
Lakers are an international brand.
Yeah,
$10 billion.
Yeah.
You think they're going to sell for more?
I think any NFL team would probably sell for more.
The Carolina Panthers, you're not
Yeah.
getting, come on.
I don't know, man. We are actually having this
Houston
debate.
Texans.
We were having this debate this week because there are more eyeballs on like Manchester United or any English soccer team than any NFL team, like by far. Yeah, the valuations for NFL teams are sometimes twice that of EPL teams. So I just think the NFL has this strangle on American culture. And, it's not just consumption via television. It's merchandise. It's attending games. The business of football, everybody has always had this thing about, okay, well, the CT thing, all right, that's gonna kill football. Or, wow, now it's woke, and that's going to kill. Nothing gets in the way of this train. So maybe your point, the bottom 2 or 3, NFL teams as far as valuations, maybe besides them. But I would say the majority of NFL teams would sell for more.
I don't disagree with it. And obviously, they're coming off a Super Bowl win, which has to be factored in here.
Right.
But it is it's fascinating to me because the Lakers, that is a cultural brand.
Yeah.
That is beyond sport.
Yeah.
That is bigger than the NBA, and the NFL might be bigger than that.
Yeah.
And we're going to find out with this sale price.
Well, and
by the way, I just looked it up. Manchester United, the last acquisition of any kind for Manchester United, a minority stake bought by Sir Jim Ratcliffe. I wish I was a knight. He bought a minority stake that in the price he paid for that minority stake valued the club itself at $6.3 billion.
$6.3 billion. And I'm coming. I'd have to look at numbers. I haven't looked at anything. Have you seen a valuation for Seattle?
They're saying 7 to 11.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I think Seattle's the number 6 media mark in the country. Right? Last check, they were top 10 for sure. I would put money on the fact that I think Seattle's like 6 through 8 as far as media market size goes. Oh, yeah. Speaking of which, James.
Yeah, where's our baklava
Yeah, do
shake,
not chime
James?
in. You owe us a baklava shake. You cannot talk about it.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Exactly. That's unfortunate.
New York, L.A., Chicago, Philly, Dallas, Bay Area.
Yeah.
Boston, Atlanta, D.C., Houston, Detroit, Phoenix. Seattle is 14.
14. Huh. I thought at one point they were top 10, but I also didn't know you could
should have
import
made
and
that
export
bet.
water. Yeah, you blew it. I also didn't know you can import and export water, so I learned 2 things during Crosstalk today. Hey, do not leave your house. Everyone stay home. If you do not have to leave your house, do not leave your house today. It is wild out there.
Just do it on foot.
Yes, you could do that.
Or with a horse.
I'd love to see that.
Or a reindeer.
I'd love to see that. Does your dog like the snow?
Yes.
Rocky loves the snow.
He loves the snow.
Duke loves the snow.
Yeah.
That was the only fun part about shoveling today, watching him
Rocky
play.
actually has only been he has not yet been in snow like this.
Okay.
Because he's he was born in Texas 1 year ago. And so he was here for like one April snow shower.
Okay.
So this is going to be a fun day for him.
He's going to enjoy it.
Stay tuned for the drive with Spence Checketts. By the way, Keller wears 91 for Team USA. That's all for the Sean O'Connell Show. We'll do it again tomorrow on ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM.